Hey, Steve, are you looking up vacations on your phone?
I sure am. Where should I go next?
Well, that's completely up to you, but when you go, you should take Saily, brought to you by Nord Security, so you don't have to pay those pesky roaming fees. And here's the best part. You like this? You like this?
I always like it.
Your information is going to be locked because it's Nord. You know, Nord. We talk about NordVPN on this show. Saily on this show is a big one because this is where we get into vacation planning. This is where we start to talk about, like, man, April's rolling around soon. It'd be really nice to take a week off and go somewhere sunny or something like that. And if you want to, you can buy affordable eSIM plans with Saily in 160 countries. Sorry, over 160 countries and 8 regions around the world.
I was going to say, ever since I decided to work in hockey, I haven't had that conversation, actually.
That's true. That's true. So listen, we want to give you a little bit of a discount to give Saily a try because it's great. So if you want 15% off, get an exclusive 50% off on Saily data plans with the Steve Dangle podcast. All you have to do is use the code DANGLE at checkout. Download the Saily app, Saily, or go to saily.com/dangle. That's saily.com/dangle, 15% off, and let us start the show.
SDP, the Steve Dangle podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Everybody can hear you mumbling over the intro.
Oh, really?
I wondered.
Well,
I didn't even hear what you said.
Okay, Steve
What is
run over my
happening?
headphone cord enough that it is now only working in this ear. So that's all. That's okay.
Get better.
Did you fix it?
Yo.
You're good.
Fix it?
Huh?
Did you fix it?
I tried to. It didn't work. I unplugged it, plugged it back.
What's the matter? You don't wear them anyway.
Anyway, yeah. I do take them off a lot. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Monday. It's a good time. And we had a lot of stuff happen this weekend. A lot of stuff. I do want to do a quick shout out to the Ivy School of Business in London, Ontario, who hosted Jesse, Alan, and I at their conference. They had a whole bunch of people. They had the chief business operator of MLSE. His name is Phil King. He built TSN. They had Jesse March, who's the head coach for Team Canada men's soccer program. They had Pinball Clemens. They had Megan Chayka. They had plenty of people, and everybody was talking about the business stuff. And we took the show, and they recorded the audio for us. Jesse got it all on video, and we have actually put it online. And I think it's really great because it's not just your typical boring conference. It's Alan telling some unbelievable stories about how he got where he did. And it includes death threats from the Czech Republic.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Always good to hear.
Yeah.
Did the Rantanen trade come up?
It did with the students. Obviously, we didn't have time for much at the end of the Q&A.
Right.
But a bunch of people asked about it. So, yes.
Or Octagon client.
Yeah.
Rantanen.
Yeah. I mean, Alan's like, listen, I can't really talk about it because he's not my client. But he'll talk about trades.
Does everybody watching think Adam looks like his LinkedIn profile?
Adam looks... I'm sorry. That's handsome.
You think I look handsome?
as shit.
Thank you.
Look at that.
Thank you. I still got the same hairline. Happy about that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Still got my LinkedIn profile hairline.
That's something to be proud of.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, I'm going to be 37 this year. Maddie, by the way,
Stop saying that.
was floored that Steve is going to be 37 in like a month. And
I was caught off guard by her reaction.
yeah, she was
I
like,
didn't
"You're going to
care
be
for it.
what?"
I was like, all right. hey, oh. I didn't appreciate it.
Oh, man, it's great.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, Mikko Rantanen trade. Nothing else matters. We're starting with that. Duh. So here's the deal. Mikko Rantanen, as you know, and as you saw on Steve's video, which exploded on the YouTube channel.
Wow.
You saw this weekend, Mikko Rantanen traded from the Avalanche to the Carolina Hurricanes. Obviously, Taylor Hall included in that, Jack Drury and Marty Nietzsche going the other way, and the Blackhawks were just happy to be there. And we're thrilled for them that they got their pick. I know Blackhawks fans are very upset that everybody was laughing at them all weekend. And don't worry, guys, we're going to laugh more. But I think we need to start with the unprecedented nature of this trade, because there hasn't been a true point per game, 1-for-1 deal. I believe Ron McLean on Hockey Night Canada even said since 1991.
He said since 1991, and then I was like, but who? Like,
Would it have
I
been
can't even think of who it was.
Gilmore Lehman?
They said it on the broadcast. I forget the names, though. Maybe I can find it.
Yeah.
I was driving, and I listened to Steve's stream the entire way, and it was actually better than listening to the radio because I knew what was happening. It was actually like, so I just put the YouTube app on my phone, plugged it into my car. Obviously, wasn't looking at your
Put
face.
it up on the dash, watched it the entire time.
The whole time.
No, don't do that.
But it was actually like it was great because I like felt like I'm like, oh, okay, it's like a radio broadcast that gives me a lot more context on the game. Because sometimes I find with radio broadcasts they talk about what's happening on the ice, and I don't know what that sometimes means. And Steve will be like, oh, somebody did this. Okay, he did this, and that means this. And I'm like, yeah, stupid guy gets it. That's me.
Yeah.
So I really liked it.
I have the details.
Give it to me.
This is what they were talking about on Hockey Night on Saturday. The Mikko Rantanen / Martin Necas trade deal was the first trade involving two players averaging over a point per game this late into a season since 1991, when Ron Francis was dealt from Hartford to Pittsburgh for John Cullen.
And that man is the forgotten piece in those Penguins Cup runs.
Trade tree. It's coming.
Is it?
No, I don't know.
Don't make promises like that.
I know.
You're upset that you don't want to do those.
Oh, well, hey.
They're mad. They're mad. You get requests for that every day. And
It's
you're
not
like,
that I don't want to do them.
what is it?
First, they are a lot of work, but I don't know that we're allowed.
Why
No,
would we
you
be
literally just
allowed?
call him something else.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We'll call it
Something else.
Yeah.
No,
we'll call
I
it
feel like it's
roots.
that simple.
Here, we'll go off the tree allegory. Roots of a trade. Ooh. You know what I mean?
Trade breakdown.
Trade-
Like,
yeah.
I don't.
Oh,
we
man.
don't have to get fancy with things.
No, no.
Are you telling me
it's
Sportsnet's
like
got a lockdown on anything to do with trades, or like, are we allowed to talk about history?
Call it a trade breakdown.
I've never gotten a concrete answer about things that I created while I worked there.
Yes,
that
but
I created for them.
Yes, but that's a formula versus a title. A formula, I hate to tell you this, it's been done before, even before Sportsnet.
It's like you can do, they have on Sportsnet, it runs all the time in every bar ever. Misplays of the month.
Yeah.
Misplays of the month was not invented by Sportsnet. Just don't call it misplays of the month.
Yeah.
It's almost like if you were
Call
seeing
it a
great
dang it.
play and you were like, oh, wow, that's a great play. And somebody else would be like,
Oh, there's nothing like that. though.
nobody's ever created anything
Yeah.
like that.
No.
Yeah.
Come on, Steve.
Yeah, you wouldn't have a highlight show in the morning if TSN already created a highlight show in the morning. It's, hey, listen, I know that they created cars, but it's a good thing there's only one brand that has ever made cars ever.
Well,
You see what I'm saying?
I find it all very scary because all these NHL YouTubers got flagged
For using
for using NHL footage.
Yeah.
But then they got unflagged, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense either.
because they didn't monetize it.
I'm cheering for the NHL YouTubers, but also, hey,
Yeah, they didn't.
fairly certain if we did that, we'd
Well,
get in shit.
Apparently not. They didn't monetize it.
Well,
Anyway,
I'm not going to risk it.
Mikko Rantanen trade happens, and Taylor Hall apparently found out 2 days before that he was going to Carolina, and the first sort of news that we hear about it is him being held out of the game.
Yes.
That's the first hint we have a trade. The interesting part about it is the Mikko Rantanen side going, he was completely blown away.
They really, really did an incredible job keeping that under wraps. It sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, but did Kyle Davidson not really know that he was part of the deal
He must have.
for like a while?
He's agreeing to trade Taylor Hall and retain some
and
salary.
retain on Rantanen.
Yeah, but Kyle Davidson didn't know what he was retaining. That's what came out over the weekend. Kyle Davidson and the Blackhawks were left in the dark about what salary they'll be taking 50% of, which makes everything that the Blackhawks did in this trade even worse.
Yeah, so we'll
that
leave that
makes
for last.
no
but you're
sense.
absolutely right, Jeff.
So I'll bring up the quote that they have on Davidson, which is just embarrassing.
That
But
is-
yeah. If you want to get to the Blackhawks part later, we'll do that then.
That is cocoa bananas. So let's talk about the impact of the trade. Okay, let's start first. Is Carolina now the favorite for the Stanley Cup in the Eastern Conference? If a team from the East is going to win, is Carolina the favorite?
Oh boy.
Because we can
Top
talk about
three.
signings and if they sign Rantanen and then this or whatever. Let's talk about the fact that we've got the best part of the season right now.
Yeah.
4 nations and then trade deadline and then playoffs, baby.
Yep.
What does this do to Carolina right now?
I mean, well, it's funny. You can tell Carolina knows exactly what its reputation is. It's this team that does really, really well in the regular season. They can win a round or two, and they usually do. And then they get to the deeper parts, and they're just not able to get over the hump. They're the 2000s Sharks. That team, never won a cup, and they played in and won so many playoff games.
And won a couple Stanley Cup games, too.
And a couple Stanley Cup games. They got halfway there living on a prayer. They won 14 games in a year. And Carolina last year got very capable, proven playoff performer Jake Gensel. He didn't stay. And then they get Mikko Rantanen, who is cracked. Since the 2022 playoffs, so 2022, 2023, and 2024, Rantanen, I believe the number I had in my video was he's 5th in the NHL in playoff points per game over those 3 runs, ahead of Nathan McKinnon. And what's crazy is Kel McCarr is ahead of both of them.
Wow.
So Carolina immediately gets one of the best playoff performers in the league. A really capable guy at anything, really. He can score goals. He's scored 55. He scored over 40. This year, he's probably going to end up somewhere between 40 and 50. And then the playoffs come, and he becomes like an elite playmaker. Mm-hmm. The reason that Mikko Rantanen is looking at himself like he's Leon Draisaitl, look at the numbers. They're a lot more comparable than you'd think.
It's difficult to deny that. I think he's and the thing that he has that Leon doesn't is a cup.
Yep, 100%, man.
He might not have won an MVP, but he's got a cup.
He's got a cup, and being Robin to McKinnon's Batman. Well, I mean, Draisaitl being Robin to McDavid's Batman didn't stop him from signing a $14 million contract.
Sure.
And if I'm Rantanen, I'm looking at the fact that I'm a UFA. I'm looking at the fact that I'm everything everyone has ever wanted. And I'm going, yeah, here's my number. It's whatever Leon got. So am I Leon? I mean, I'm a pro athlete, so I think I am. Even if I'm not, guess what? When Leon signed it, the cap wasn't where it's going. So
technically speaking, you're signed for less at the percentage of the cap than Leon would be.
Well, so the contracts are starting at the same time.
Yes, but
he signed it before we knew all this information about the salary cap. So he's probably looking at it like, okay, I'm signing for 14, but what I'm really signing for in my head is either way, Rantanen truly believes, and I think you're going to get to the quote, that he is signing for, or what he's asking for, is less than market value.
So I don't want to go there yet.
You don't want to go there
I want to stay on our Carolina with Hall and with Rantanen, the Stanley Cup favorite coming out of the East. And Jesse, what do you think?
Formidable.
In terms of the Stanley Cup favorite, my money is with Washington in the East. I think just the way they play hockey is so far in a way what any other East team is doing. And plus, you can't rule out Florida. Like as much as Florida's not having a runaway great regular season, when they get to the playoffs, it's a whole other game. And I think Florida should
know that
in contention for the Stanley Cup until they lose the crown. So it probably, in my mind, some combination of Washington, Florida, Carolina, and then Toronto.
No, shut up.
Then Leafs, yeah, go Leafs.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
maybe Leafs are one.
First place Leafs, okay?
Yeah.
All right. All right. And you don't know what the Leafs are going to do. Maybe they trade for Draisaitl. You don't know.
That'd be sick.
I worry.
Can we have that? Sure.
My worry with Washington would be they're peaking too early. You know, you get really hot early of the season, and then you start tailing off. Yeah, which is never fun. You want to be peaking March, April, going to the playoffs. But they've been so consistent all season long. It's been good to see. And Carolina, you bring in a new guy like Rantanen, and you wonder about how it's going to mesh. You know, it's a big addition to the core of your lineup, so you have to get an adjustment time with that. And I hate Carolina's goaltending. I hate it too. I think it's really bad. So I worry about that. But the thing that held them back in the playoffs year after year is getting that timely goal scoring is what failed them last 2 postseasons, especially last year against the New York Rangers in that quarterfinal game. I guess that's semifinals. quarterfinals. I don't know, second round. And
Semi, yeah.
And okay, now they got the scoring, hopefully, with Rantanen and Hall. But what about net? So
One of the theories I heard from someone I spoke to is Vancouver and Carolina were obviously talking, and I'm sure we'll have a larger discussion with that. And their theory was, I bet they still do something, and my guess is Demko.
Why?
Even Lankinen would be huge.
Well, my counter to that, I mean, I'd rather have Lankinen.
Me too.
This season.
Me too.
This season. My counter to that was, you have Freddie Anderson, and your solution is to go out and get American Freddie Anderson, who is a guy who is great when he plays, which is nearly never, right? Like,
Yep.
it's tough.
Yep.
Anyway, that's another conversation. They're really formidable, and what's great for them is they have time to do it. I usually like teams or time to gel. I usually like teams doing business well ahead of time because I think it's better for them. Vancouver did that last year, and it actually wasn't great.
Well,
so we'll see how
it
it
could have
goes.
been great had they been able to move Lindholm at the deadline. Because then
What, the guy they got?
Yeah, I think you want to get in, see if it works. If it doesn't work, deal them. I don't blame Vancouver for trying to re-deal him at all.
It's crazy to me that like the Hurricanes could just screw around and flip Hall.
Absolutely.
Imagine they flip Hall and they get a third without having to retain or anything. And they just God.
Goes back to
I
Chicago.
don't understand Chicago.
Taylor Hall is also not who we imagined Taylor Hall was from the past.
Yeah, what is he
was
now?
playing the fourth line with the Chicago Blackhawks.
He's still it's the Blackhawks. Like, if you look at his point totals over the last couple of years on a team as good as Carolina, I think he could be pretty good. He was still over half a point a game in Chicago. Which, would I pay $6 million for that? No. Could he help my team win? Probably.
He had 9 goals, 15 assists, 24 points in 46 games with Chicago.
That's over half a point a game. Barely, but it's over half a point a game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pay $6 million for that player, but that player can help you win.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at the other side of this with Colorado for a sec. Okay, so we talked about Rantanen. I'm just keeping it to right now, and we're coming back to Rantanen. We're going to talk about the contract in a second.
Sure.
Colorado gets 2 players who actually contributed last night for them. Natchez had 2 assists. Jack Drury scored a goal.
What a crazy game.
They beat the Rangers. It was a great game. What do you think Colorado's view of this? We know what the player view is, and we know that McFarland was out in front of the press saying sometimes you have to make hard decisions, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
When they look at a guy like Natchez and they look at a guy like Drury, what do they think they're gaining here other than good players cost control?
Well, you're looking at value, right? So I don't think they're looking at it like, we're going to get Natchez because he's better than Rantanen. You know what I mean? It's just, Natchez is probably an underrated player in this league. It's just not the case. Like, Rantanen's unbelievable. He's a top 10 forward on a bad day in the league. Criminally underrated because he's in the shadow of, like, I was taunting producer Drew, who just had the most miserable weekend of his life. Huge Avalanche fan, huge Bills fan.
Oh,
Like, just
Heartbreak City, man.
miserable.
Yeah.
Miserable. I watched that game. It was awesome. I watched a non-Super Bowl game.
I know. Impressed, man.
Claps for Steve on that one. You're looking at the value. So the cap's going up $1 bajillion. I used too small of a number. It's going up $1 bajillion. So we should be able to keep everyone. Well, if you're the Avalanche, okay, we have Natchez at 6.5 next year, which is crazy value. So we still have him. Then we can go out in free agency and get whoever we want. And this year, if they send Puckpedia had this, Hart Levine doing crazy work for them. If they send down 2 players, they can afford to activate Gabriel Landeskog off LTIR.
I wondered if Gabe is back.
He's skating. That's handcuffing them, but I think the biggest factor that I failed to talk about in my video, and too many people are just casually like, yeah, and then also this is a factor. Like, we're we're not talking about it like it's maybe one of the biggest deals with this deal. In 2026, Cale Makar is going to be an unrestricted free agent, and he's going to make over $15 million. That's a number I completely pulled out of thin air. He's the best defenseman in the world. And he is. Like, it's him or Quinn, and then he scored a hat trick the other night, and I'm like, I think it's him.
He had 2 more last night.
He's stupid.
I'm so glad I got him in fantasy.
Insane player. He's gonna flirt with like 30 goals.
Yep.
He'll be the first one to do that since when? Eons.
Yep.
Right? It's so rare. He's unbelievable. And if you can only choose to have 2 of these 3 players, McKinnon, Makar, Rantanen. Rantanen is a top 10 forward in this league on a bad day, and the choice is crystal clear. Mm-hmm. Crystal clear. It's McKinnon and Makar. So the Avalanche decided we're not going to be the Leafs. We're not going to have 3-4 stars making a bajillion dollars. Mm-hmm. We're going to have 2. And then we're going to have everyone else.
Nietzsche's coming in is obvious, right? This is a point-of-game player more than he was upset about his ice time in Carolina last year. They gave him the ice time this year. He's getting the points that he wants to get. Jack Drury's interesting, too, for the Avalanche, who have had injury issues and stuff. Jesse, I'm wondering, does this move the Avalanche down the pecking order in terms of Western Conference threats for this season, assuming they make no other moves, which, from what's being reported, both Carolina and Colorado are going to make more moves?
Yeah, I think that'd be the wrong assumption to assume that this is how the team's going to look.
But let's say it is.
Playoffs.
Let's say it is.
Yeah, but that's not realistic.
Okay, but right now, Jesse, I understand it's not realistic. Let's be unrealistic. Right now, where do you have them when it comes to Dallas and Vegas and teams like that?
I think they're right there with the teams because they have Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar, and their goaltending has stabled. So I got no doubts that they'll be a competitive playoff team right amongst the top teams in the league.
Yeah, they're difficult to evaluate right now
because they're not a complete picture.
They're so clearly not done. And based on everything we've learned about what Vancouver wants for one of Pettersson or Miller, and the fact that they have no dance partner right now, they're kind of screwed. I'm Colorado. I'm calling them, and I'm going Middlestat and what for Miller.
I don't know if that's the way they go with this, because what I think they did here with this trade is perfect roster management. Like, Carolina's built their team so that they were in a position to take on somebody like Rantanen and sign him long term. Their highest paid player is $9.75 million. They are not overpaying anybody on their team.
Wait, who?
The Carolina Hurricanes.
Oh, sorry. I was like, that's wrong. I thought you were talking about the Avs.
No.
Sorry.
The Carolina Hurricanes taking on Rantanen makes so much sense because they've positioned themselves to take on a big contract like that.
Yes.
And the Avalanche already have those contracts. They have McKinnon, and then they have to pay Cale Makar. So you look at how teams have built their teams recently, and the Toronto Maple Leafs are a prime example in overpaying players and that not going well. So the Avalanche are saying, hey, we don't want to get in a position where we have too many big contracts. We can't fill out the rest of this roster because depth wins championships so often in the NHL. So they get rid of this. They move in a guy who's more cost controls. And that makes perfect sense for the Avalanche here. And Booger McFarland, the GM, is doing a fabulous job in getting this reduced price. It's only for this year and next year, but that gives you a window here for this trade deadline where you go out and you get Brock Nelson. You go out and you get whatever contract you want to take on, or you bring back Landeskog a little early, which I don't think they should do. I think you wait till the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is the difference between playing late
but
March?
we need a cap in the playoffs. Stop it. No, we don't.
Start Landeskog on the third.
Let's keep the stars out of the playoffs.
Start him on the third or fourth line in the playoffs. Who cares? Then you get Landeskog on your third line and get him up to speed. So I think you wait on that and you use this cap space at this deadline to bring in some really good depth pieces, and that's much better to me than having Rantanen. I don't know. I look at this as a win for Colorado.
So what would you say is that what you'd say to Drew? Is that actually, as much as this hurts because you're attached to this player, Colorado's better off?
It depends. It depends on how it goes, it's unfair to evaluate it that way, but it depends what you do now with the room that Rantanen has created for you by not being here. By not giving him $14 million, you get that extra $7 million, whatever, to do something going forward for next season, and you get that room to do something from now till March 7th.
Yeah. And I was just going to say that you have until March 7th. You have like 6 weeks.
It's not a lot of time.
Yeah, but considering what we usually come to expect at the trade deadline, it's just teams going, oh, what can I get for this many at the very last
You mean
minute?
that's a lot of time in terms of like the span of the season and getting this done earlier than the trade deadline. Yeah.
Look at it this way. No move you're going to make, no matter what it is going to be bigger than this one.
Yes, 100%.
Even if you like get JT Miller.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe if no, I was going to say Elias Pettersson.
The Avs should get JT Miller.
Rantanen is over. The argument that Elias Pettersson is better than Mikko Rantanen is extremely difficult to make.
I don't think that's true.
Statistically, I don't think it's true either.
I don't think anybody would make that argument just showing what they've both done in their careers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rantanen is cracked.
Why I don't
proven
think
playoff performer.
Pettersson or Miller are good fits for the Avs because I think this not signing Rantanen long term is so that they don't have to have that long-term contract on the books. And Miller and Pettersson would be that unless they look at the Miller contract as in that range where they're cool with paying it, which I can totally understand that argument.
To me,
Pettersson, no.
Pettersson, no.
Because there's a $3 million difference there, right? Like it's
more, I think.
is it eight and a half
roughly three. Yeah. Stop complicating it, Steve. No, Miller at his current number and current performance,
Motivated Miller? Playoff
motivated Miller with the cap going up like crazy.
Playing with
locked
Nate?
up.
Also motivated?
No, but Miller he's not gonna take any of the windfall of the cap going up. He's signed till 2030.
Oh, no. I know.
That's what makes it so valuable.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Oh, yes,
If I'm the Avalanche, you put that on my plate.
Yeah,
put that on my plate right now.
The $8 million and bringing in JT Miller makes a lot of sense because then that's just your like free agent signing.
And then you basically have JT Miller and Martin Necas for the amount of money you were going to pay Rantanen, which you could do worse.
Yeah, that's why I think Booger did a great job.
Booger McFarland for any football fans out there. Okay, I want to talk about this interview that Rantanen gave to Finnish newspaper Ilta Sanomat. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And I know I'm not because it's Finnish. But remember that when we translate, first off, there's two things are true. One, European players give way better interviews in their home countries.
Million times better.
Two, sometimes translations are imperfect. So I reserve the right to go, oh, that's what that translation means. However, it's been posted on Hockey Reddit, so you can see this here. I believe the Reddit user was Tolakaras. Sounds like something out of Greek mythology. Anyway, long story short, I'm gonna go to the middle part of the article where it says media speculation suggested that Rantanen's salary demands were too high for Colorado. Here's what he had to say about it. I don't think that's true. I don't want to talk exact numbers, but I was willing to take a significant cut below my market value. That's why this trade was such a shock to me. And then it says, as the fall progressed without an extension, outside speculation about a potential trade grew. However, the Finnish star remained confident. Honestly, I didn't think I'd be traded. I truly believed we'd reach a deal at some point, but they decided otherwise. The lines of communication with the team were never completely closed, though we weren't talking daily. And so...
All right, now I have the Finnish version, the original article, up on the screen.
Read it in Finnish.
Now do that. Oh, they have highlights
Okay, here we
at the
go.
top. So can't show that.
Mikko Rantanen.
Kun pusti puhia latu. Oh my God. Finnish is insane.
It is, I've told the story a bunch of times or whatever. For some reason, my history teacher in university was like, if you look at all the languages in Europe, it follows like this language is like this one in the neighboring
Latin.
country is like this one in the neighboring country. And then there's Finnish,
Right.
which closest linguistic language in Europe is Hungarian.
And Hungarian's crazy.
And also,
You've never seen every vowel in one word until you've read Hungarian.
And also, it's not near Finland.
That's right.
So I don't understand.
But there's reasons for that, and they're discovering them, but we won't get into them today. I have
Sebastian
Ahon. Is that a typo or just have we been spelling it wrong?
I think that's how they would spell it.
What?
In Finnish, right?
Havisen Islandersil Jakoyala 2-3.
Carolinen.
Wow.
York and what?
Oh, hurricanes is in English.
I love that.
But Carolina isn't.
Carolinen,
Carolina.
which sounds very Finnish.
New Yorkin.
New Yorkin. Not Hurricanes in though.
Oh.
And then look, Avalanche.
All right, we're getting.
Okay, so let me just
I was having fun.
now I was Jesse, I was having fun.
Where's Booger? Where's Booger, Jesse? I don't see Booger on there.
Mr. McFarlane.
Yes, Mr.
So here's the, and we talked about this at free agency last year, and here's how it was explained to me when I asked around. So when you hear a team go, this player can't make more than our best player who makes X, they're not talking about total dollar values. They're talking about percentage against the cap because, as we've talked about before, and it's not very sexy, and nobody talks about it because it's not sexy and it's hard to understand.
It's not a great bar topic.
The way that an agent or a team or the NHL itself looks at this is what's the percentage against the cap now and projected in the future, because the cap percentage when they sign the deal will be the highest it will ever be, and then it will decrease as the cap goes up, unless you have COVID, in which case things stay flat and, oh my God, the Leafs. Anyway, McKinnon's cap, when McKinnon signed this deal, the cap was at 82.5%.
82.5 million.
Sorry, 82.5 million. Okay. His signing, his percentage cap on signing, according to Puckpedia, so I'm not making it up. 82.5 million dollars was the cap.
Got it. Okay.
His percentage of cap taken up upon signing is 15.09%. So 15.1. Okay?
Sure.
The rumored Rantanen cap percentage on signing. So here's the issue. And I've heard this from a few people, and I find it really interesting. Some NHL teams are me. Some NHL teams are Steve.
Okay.
Some NHL teams are me in that they go, yeah, the cap's going up to 97 million and we all know it. Some NHL teams are Steve and they're like, I won't believe that shit till I see it. Don't believe a single word that comes out of head office. Do not believe it.
Which is the right way to operate.
Right.
I
don't know where the Avs stand on this, so it's difficult to know.
I do.
But if the rumored cap percentage based on signing, so if the cap is, let's say the Joe Sakic, Chris McFarland, sorry, Booger, and all those guys say, hey, listen, until we know otherwise, we're operating under the assumption that the cap is $92.5 million next year. At the $14 million rumored asking price, that puts Rantanen at exactly 15.1%, which is the exact same as what McKinnon made, percentage-wise. If it's 97, then that drops from 15.1 to 14.4. And so if it was $14 million he was truly asking for, that's the number that's been thrown out there. I have no confirmation of that. Then him saying, hey, at $97 million, that's a significant deduction in the cap considering my numbers. And remember, he doesn't say value to the Avs. He says market value, as in what my value will be as a free agent. Then taking a 0.6% could be considered a drop-off. Now, if you say to people, like if Rantanen's people look at this and they say, okay, you don't want him to make what Nate does, but Nate signed at 82.5%. Okay, what about 13.5? That brings, if the cap is 97, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
This is a $97 million.
$97 million cap. 13.5 is 13.91%. 13 million is 13.4%. So now we're getting into multiple percentage points off of what Nathan McKinnon says. And if you're Mikko Rantanen, you're going, okay, respect to Nathan McKinnon. I love the man. We are best friends. But the reality is my numbers suggest this. And so when he talks about this significant discount that he was willing to take, significant can be $500,000. And by the way, $500,000 over 8 years is significant.
So Adam, right now, you are Mikko Rantanen's camp, and simultaneously, you are Harrison Ford in The Fugitive.
Okay. Oh, in The Fugitive.
Yes.
I thought it was going to be Air Force One.
I am the Colorado Avalanche.
Okay. Get off my plane.
And also Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh.
From The Fugitive.
Damn.
So you tell me all that? I don't care. Based on percentage, I don't.
But that's
care.
what the exercise is at that level between
Yeah.
agents
Okay.
and agents
No,
and
I know.
GMs.
I'm not sorry. I'm
No,
not.
no, Steve, I get your point. Like, you're right in the negotiation where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, do that. And my rebuttal is, I'm going to trade you.
Yeah. Based on this and that, and
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You're gonna make nearly $1.5 million more than Nate.
I don't think that's how Colorado even looks at it.
It's legal here. I'm going to trade you to somewhere where it's not. Is it legal in Carolina?
To what?
Weed.
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't know.
Probably not.
Anyway,
who knows?
Listen, it's a well thought out argument by Mikko, and also that I would advise against taking what he said verbatim.
Like Mikko?
Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
Because
He doesn't even give numbers.
I'm not saying he's lying. I'm saying he's using the truth to lie. Right?
or it's his perspective.
Well, no, exactly. It's his perspective. My market value is this, and that is why it's a significant. Is it?
Yeah. No, Steve, what you're saying about like those numbers are good, but no. Like that just happened in New York.
Yeah.
Because Igor Shesterkin wanted his big payday. And Chris Drury said, you know what? That's nice. You're coming in a penny short of Artemi Panarin. Yep. And that's what he did. He said, okay, I will acquiesce to that demand. And I'm coming in at 11.5 and Panarin's at 11.6.
Yep.
And that's it. I don't care what you think your value is. For Igor, it's probably in the 12, 13, but he's coming in under Panarin because that's the line they set.
That's
agreed.
And that's sometimes GMs are that hard nosed. And I applaud them for looking at their organization and being hard nosed like that, because sometimes that's how you're going to get in a few years down the line. Like, man, that cap situation's great.
Yeah,
they kept everything low.
Well, and then you set yourself up to be a team like the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yes,
who can then afford to go out and get a big name player.
Yeah.
Like,
what's he worth? What's he worth to one team versus what's he worth to another?
Exactly.
The purchase, like anything, any value, your iPhone, it's only worth what people are market-wise willing to pay.
Well, the Avalanche made the conscious decision. We're paying two guys like stars, right?
Yep.
McKinnon, Makar. McKinnon, by the way, just keeps getting
Hosed.
demolished.
Yeah, McKinnon should
in
be a
contract.
$15 million. He should have signed a
bad
3-year
timing
deal.
for him every time.
By the end of his career, McKinnon will have left at least $50 million on the table. Like,
But-
no exaggeration.
At the end of the day, he's probably going to look at it like Sidney Crosby and say, I don't care.
And I want a cup.
Don't care.
$8.7 million for 400 years in the NHL. That's what Sidney Crosby's made every single year, and he's willingly done that, and he doesn't give a shit because he wins.
What has he made in Tim Hortons endorsements alone?
Yeah,
No,
and that's his buddy. You
Yeah,
know,
like-
so they must look at it the same way.
Mikko. Like, if I was Booger, I'd be like, Mikko, you only get to, so
We call him Bug for short.
from up top, we get two super duper stars, and we get to pay two super duper stars. You have to choose two out of the following three. You, Nate, Makar. Not even you take you. Dude,
me.
it's Nate and Makar.
Right.
Like, so I don't think it's that the Avalanche are like, he's not worth $14 million.
No.
He
just
like,
can't
that's
be-
not how we operate.
That can't be the way that we do things. And I think the Leafs are probably a pretty good example to teams of why you can't do that.
Yeah.
Just look at last show. I was like, okay, so you have the same forward group for more money, minus a player. And then next year, even with the cap going up, let's say everyone stays. Marner gets a raise. Tavares takes a discount. Nyes gets a raise.
Yeah, we did this. We did this
Like,
exercise.
we
Yeah,
already
yeah.
did this exercise. And the Avalanche are nipping that in the bud right now.
And on the other side of the coin, you mentioned it and I brought it up, the 9.75 that they signed Sebastian Aho was the Carolina Hurricanes limit. Like, that's crazy seeing what everybody else in the league is paying their top players. They're paying their top player under $10 million and are also one of the top teams in the league. It's not like they're the Blackhawks and have no one to pay that type of money. So they've positioned themselves where they can take on the $14 million, and then that's our new highest paid player. And that's a masterfully well done job by Tulsky, who's been now the GM, and having that great cap situation. I think this is a great deal for both sides because both sides are looking at this new contract for Rantanen in completely different ways.
Yes. Can I just reinforce your point?
Sure.
So the last two, I'll call this trade deadline because it is part of trade deadline, right? There's a deadline for the trades. I'm calling it trade deadline. Trade deadline's kicked off with Rantanen. The Carolina Hurricanes also made a big splash last year. They got Jake Gensel.
Yes.
Yeah. And by all accounts, were willing to offer him anything that the Lightning were. He just wanted to go to the Lightning. Mm-hmm. So that's what happened. It happens. Fair. Whatever. Now, Don Waddell was the GM last year, but Tulsky was well known around the league as the guy that put the deals together. That was what it was, and that's great. Don Waddell hires people who do those things.
Yeah, because he's a nerd.
Yes, he's a nerd,
and
but
the
he's
nerd
also
guys do the math.
Well,
what? Okay, now let me finish this.
Yeah, you
From
finish.
TDDT_5115, and I did check this. The Rantanen and Gensel deal cost Carolina a total of, and I'm quoting directly, 0 first-round picks, 0 of their top 4 prospects.
Who are Carolina's top 4 prospects?
I don't know, but their system is better than the Leaf system. That's Scott
have-
Wheeler's doing
that.
it.
Is that true?
I mean, low bar.
I don't know.
I mean, they're playoff team, so their system's probably not great, but you know what I'm saying. The reality is, you would expect, like if it's Toronto, it's like, oh, you want to get Brock Nelson? Well, you better give us Easton Cowan and Ben Danford. Whereas the Carolina Hurricanes are like, no, we'll trade off the roster. Because the thing with teams sometimes is like, you do fall in love with your own players.
Yes.
And you do fall in love with your own prospects. And I respect Carolina for going, not working out great with Bunting, and Dubas loves him. Let's include that as a part of the Gensel deal. Nietzsche, we love, but he already said he wanted to trade out of here. So he's got a ton of value. They probably had a conversation with him in the fall and said, listen, we can help you with your trade request. You're going to play power play 1 minutes, but if you don't come through, we can't trade you. So you better have a great year, and he has. And so I look at Carolina and go, that is spectacular GMing. Spectacular GMing. And we have to talk about the antithesis of that, which is what I believe to be the Chicago front office. But first, we must do the BetMGM big story. So if you have something you want to add before that, do it now, because we're getting into Chicago after.
180,000 views, LOL.
On the trade?
Yep.
Yeah, we need more trades like this. Can the GMs work on that? That'd be great for business.
Can Vancouver stop sitting on their friggin' hands?
Well, we have to talk about their ramifications too, because this affects them. But let's get to the BetMGM big story. We'll talk a little bit more about the ramifications of this when it comes to the players and who will be replacing him. But Alex Petrangelo is pulling out of the Four Nations face-off because he's got some lingering things, even though he can play. And he's just saying, you know what, I could use the break, and the playoffs are more important. And that, as much as people were like, oh, like it's going to be like the All-Star game, I honestly don't think that it is. I think that was a very difficult decision for him. And it does open the door for new defensemen, but that's not what we're going to get into right now.
Okay.
Given the defensemen that are available, and given the hole that Pietrangelo leaves in the lineup, I just want to know where you had Canada ranked before this and where you have them ranked now. Does it change anything?
Well, one of the best parts of Canada's decor is they had 2 built-in pairs, which I think gives them a huge leg up on everyone. Like I might have had them number 1, like in terms of their decor. You have Makar Taves.
Amazing.
Does Taves make the team without Makar? Probably not, but he's Makar's D partner, so hooray. Pietrangelo has had a come-see-come-saw season on a very good team. His D partner, Shea Theodore, who's on Team Canada. So, boom, boom. There's your top 4, and your bottom pair is, who are the other 2 guys? Like Parayko Morrissey? All right. Like, whatever. I'm sure they'll figure out how to click. Now it just makes me look at it a little different. Like, you don't get nearly as much of that built-in benefit as you had before.
Right.
So that makes them slide.
Does it make you more likely to bet a sleeper like a Sweden? And I say sleeper because there's only 4 teams. If you were going to call a team a sleeper,
is there one?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Finland?
if you say everybody's a contender, then you're just being obtuse, right? Like, you have to look at it like, okay, you would think Canada and the United States are the favorites, although I believe it's going to be a USA-Sweden final. Do you think, do you bet a little bit more in Sweden's favor now? Because that's a major player to just subtract from a lineup. Look at the St. Louis Blues after Pietrangelo left.
Well, and what's the number 1 concern with Canada?
Goaltending.
Who plays in front of Aiden Hill?
That would be Shea Theodore and Alex Pietrangelo.
Yeah. This I think hurts Canada's chances more than you think.
Jesse?
Parayko, Morrissey, Theodore, Makar, Sanheim, Taves.
Oh, Sanheim.
So those are your 6,
And they are invited.
Now
to
you
seven.
take out Petro, and you got to add somebody before that first game. It's not a bad 6. I'm just shocked that it hasn't moved Canada's odds at all. They're still tied with the USA with the best odds to win the tournament. I probably definitely favor USA at this point to
100%.
win.
Yeah.
as going in as the favorites. I don't know. I'm kind of down on Team Canada as a hockey nation right now, based on how the last few years have gone, especially the World Juniors. And now we hear this, one of your big defensemen's out. I don't know. I'm leaning USA.
And when
men's hockey.
when Vegas
Men's hockey. Oh,
Women are kicking ass.
By default, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the men's.
Vegas, I think everybody knew that too, right?
know.
If you Vegas, when they made their forgotten run to the finals that was stopped by Montreal in 2021, they couldn't score. The one guy that could for them was Pietrangelo. And
Yes, he was so good.
he was a monster in those playoffs. People kind of forget that performance, and so yeah, I think it's a big. So Jesse, you're betting USA to win?
Yeah, I was on Sweden to win, so I guess I'll stick on that one.
Sweden to win.
I was
Okay.
never on Canada to win.
right.
I don't think they come out on top. I think it's probably USA, but I think dark horse Sweden pick, so that's who I'm going with. Petro from King City, Ontario. Our relation to King City, we did broadcast from a large home there once.
We did, yes, a lottery.
Yeah, that's how I
charity
know
lottery. Yes,
that's how I know King City.
and it's nice up there.
It's nice
up there in King.
I've been there. They have giant homes.
Yeah, they have very kingly homes.
Because it's one of the few places in Ontario where there's land where you
Yeah.
can build a really big home where people want to be. So
For now.
yeah, giant homes in King City.
I do think this matters to the Pietrangelo conversation. He's already played for Team Canada at the Olympics. Like it's maybe not as unique to him as some of these guys who
never have.
have never had that opportunity.
Right.
He's done it at the World Juniors. He's done it at the Olympics. He's fulfilled.
And he's
He wants
going
to win a
next
cup.
year.
Yeah,
And he's
What are they going to
probably
not take him?
I think
maybe
I
they're
think it's a
stupid.
very good point, Steve, because at the end of the day, I think all the players know that the Olympics is the real one, and this is a made-up nothing tournament.
Hey.
that includes 4 nations that were just picked out of nothing, and a lot of the top teams are there, or some of the top countries.
I don't
are
even
there.
care that
McDavid-
it's made up. I'm so excited. I don't
No,
care.
it's
this means something to me.
100% fun.
I've never wanted anything more in my
It's
life.
100% fun. It's just kind of made up and doesn't really mean
I
anything.
think McDavid would walk over glass to play in this thing, whereas Petro, take it or leave it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the BetMGM big story. Make sure you go to betmgm.com/dangle for terms and conditions. And obviously, all the futures are there for the 4 nations right now. And as Jesse said, the Canada's odds have not moved, but we'll get into a little bit later why that might be. So the third part of this trade, as we've broken it all down, we call it the Mikko Rantanen trade, but it really is a trade between Colorado, Carolina, and as everybody loves to point out online, the chair, that weird chair that's in every hotel room,
Just call it the cuck chair.
the Chicago Blackhawks.
I almost made that comparison in the video, and I'm like, I'm not going to make a cuck chair thing.
Yeah. They are the Kevin
And then you
Jonas.
did it.
They are the Kevin Jonas of this trade. And
Oh, no.
And listen, nice person, great guy.
Never
Everybody
met him.
loves Kevin. Great guy.
Do they?
But here's the question. Did Chicago do right by its franchise in this? And Jesse, I know you got that quote, so I'm going to throw it in just a second. Here's what I see. I see a team that they were like, well, we're going to retain money on this deal and trade Taylor Hall. So they save $1.5 million. They also blow a retention spot, and they have $4.5 million not playing for them. There's no player there. They were paying $6 million for Taylor Hall. He was dressing. Now they're paying $4.5 million and are down a retention slot, and he's not playing for them.
And it sounds like Connor Bedard, who has been miserable, liked him.
Yes. So, Jesse, give us Kyle Davidson? Why do I always say John Davidson? Kyle Davidson's quote on this.
So Kyle Davidson spoke this morning to Chicago media. This is Charlie from WGN radio in Chicago, I believe it is, with Kyle Davidson's full quote on why they did the Taylor Hall deal. It was pretty minimal on our side. Obviously, a pretty big deal. I think there's a little bit confusion on what our role was in it. For us, we were happy to get the asset that we got back. In moving Taylor, I think it was something that was probably going to happen at some point. We were not going to use our 2 retained salary transactions on being involved in this one, and then maybe another one with Taylor later on. And so it was one or the other. We either going to we're either going to be involved in this or we weren't. And from my estimation, the market was probably around that if we stayed out of this altogether and we just took the player to the market later on and got a pick for him later on. But in waiting, you run the risk of things like injury. The role was diminishing almost by the game, and it just wasn't heading towards a way that was going to maximize or enhance value. And so in moving, then we moved at full price and held on the other player involved. It just didn't make sense to wait and not really get a better return later on. It was basically what we thought or hoped we would get. And so just move forward with it instead of risking all the things that just go along with just holding a player and fingers crossed maybe the value increases marginally a little bit down the stretch. So the important part is kind of the end there where you summarizes, we did this deal because the 3rd round pick is what we wanted for Taylor Hall and we were being offered that. So why not do the deal now instead of waiting till the trade deadline when you could have an injury? And Taylor Hall's role, he mentioned there, was being diminished game by game. He's been moving down and down the lineup. So that's why they did it now.
And it is a high 3rd. It's their own 3rd from a pick swap.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can look at it as a low 2nd.
Could be the
if you're going to Kyle Dubas.
It could be the first pick of the 3rd round.
Yeah, absolutely it could. Now, important to know, too, for context, the Chicago Blackhawks have 2 players retained, Mikko Rantanen and who?
Oh, is it still Jake McCabe?
Toronto Maple Leaf Jake McCabe.
Unreal.
Now, in the buyout slot, which does not count as a retention.
Kyle Dubas has eaten a lot of crap on the show recently. That was a great trade.
That's why I keep saying Kyle Dubas is really good at trades. I don't know what people are talking about. He's great at trades.
Sometimes.
Josh Bailey was bought out, but that doesn't count against retained.
No.
Okay.
So,
retention slots and buyout slots are different.
So they still can play the retention game. And by the way, next year, all of that clears off. Bailey, McCabe, Rantanen, all that money's gone. So, if they're still bad next year, they can be facilitators as well.
Great.
I know that they're expecting not to. Friedge mentioned this morning in his column, he wouldn't be surprised for the Blackhawks to actually make a run at Rantanen should he hit the open market. And apparently they're also... Apparently they also are, if they're watching Kaprizov, if he becomes available, because he's got a year left, that they're also going to be big players for him.
And it was big spenders.
And it was also Friedman who said that Chicago, when they were told they're going to retain salary, they were unsure of which player it would have been at the time of the deal, and then they found out it was going to be Mikko Rantanen.
So the question
they were told
is, as I set this up, $6 million Taylor Hall, but diminishing in the lineup, and you're not sure, and injuries, and maybe we don't get a 3rd round pick. Okay, fine. Okay, you upgrade that for your 3rd round pick, and you're paying $4.5 million, not in real cap dollars, but you save $1.5 million. Now the player's not playing for you. You can get other players into the lineup. You've got a deep system. Fine. Okay. You get your 3rd round pick back that was traded to Carolina in a pick swap last year. But you weren't aware of the players involved in the retention. And I feel like, and this is just me, I'm an outsider, I've never been a general manager. It feels to me like if you know these players are involved, if you know it's Mikko Rantanen for Marty Necas and a whole bunch of other shit, are you not going, yeah, I think I'm going to upgrade that pick?
Oh my God.
Because I think, or that whatever, a prospect or something, I think not knowing that shut them out from the ability to understand the value they were bringing to this trade.
They lost a prospect in that trade. It's just not a very good one.
Not a good one.
But still.
They to me, I look at this and I go, okay, so you didn't understand the value of this trade and what you've brought to facilitate it, and you were okay with that.
You were a drug mule in this trade.
It's odd, right?
Yeah, it's your job to get through security without getting caught. We're not telling you any other details. Listen. If you're a Blackhawks fan, what do you get out of this? A 3rd round pick,
and
like the money they saved. Like, oh wow, Danny Wirtz saved what was it, $500,000?
Well, and it's $500,000, but cut that in half. Let's say it's in real dollars, $750,000. I don't think Danny Wirtz cares
like he saved
because half the season's been played, so half the money's been paid.
Percentage of what the Blackhawks were fined a few years ago. Like, who gives a shit if you're a fan? Our team sucks. I don't want them to suck anymore. So everything you do needs to be about making them not suck in the future. And you got a 3rd round pick. Like, if you nail this, if you let's say the next Lane Hudson's out there, because I think he was like a 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
How many years away from being
3 to 5,
from contributing to my team not sucking ass anymore is that pick?
3 to 5, unless you're flipping it for assets at the trade deadline that bring you NHL ready prospects.
And
or
like
at the draft.
Not everything you do is gonna be an instant fix, right? But like this is miserable. This is just not fun. And Kyle Davidson is being graded on a curve right now because no one's happy with what's going on in Chicago, right? So anything he does that is good for his team better be really freaking good because everyone's grumpy right now. One person I was talking to is like, this reeks of a trade from a GM trying to make friends around the league. It's difficult being a new GM. I don't know how long he was a GM in Chicago. Like with Dubas, and everything comes back to Dubas, but it's 2 dudes named Kyle who
were young.
in their 30s when they got the job.
Yeah.
Right?
Like Kyle Davidson is younger than you and I. He's born July 1st, 1988.
You're joking.
Nope.
Wow. That hurts my heart. He hasn't been in the league a very long time, and this is a very you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of league. Dubas had the 4-year runway of
He was-
being a GM.
So he was in 2018 appointed to be assistant general manager to Stan Bowman.
2018, okay.
Scouting, cap management, contract negotiations, and analytics were his areas.
Everything.
And then he was promoted to...
GM.
Hold on a second. 2018, he was appointed to assistant to the general manager. And then he became AGM in 2021 on an interim basis. And then took it over.
And then the
In 2021.
investigation complicated things for them. Oh, boy. Like, it's... You know who I think of immediately, or who I thought of immediately when I was told, like, oh, this reeks of a GM just trying to make friends? First of all, don't be friends with Eric Tulsky. That's horrible.
You could be great friends, but maybe understand that he's probably... What does he have? What's his degree?
Okay, be friends with him,
Sure.
but if he brings up hockey, leave the restaurant.
Right. right.
Like, walk out.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to stuff you in a locker. What are you doing? This is... I don't know how old Chris McFarlane is, but like these are some of the younger GMs in the league. But the first person I thought of was Kyle Dubas and his love of making trades with Doug Armstrong.
Chris McFarlane, 54.
Oh, okay. So not the same. He friggin' loves, because I think early in Kyle's career, Doug was like, I'll be your friend. And they made trade after trade after trade after trade. And some of them helped the Leafs. Some of them helped the Blues. I can't really think of a team getting ripped off or anything in the middle of it. But now that Kyle is in Pittsburgh, they still make deals together. Who's that for Kyle Davidson? I've noticed he's made a bunch of trades, or more than one anyway, with Mike Greer, who's another guy who's new. He's trying to make friends.
But Mike played.
So he probably has more friends. And case in point, where'd Barclay Goodrow go?
San Jose.
He went from Chris Drury's team to Chris Drury's teammates team. Right? It's a league of connections, and I'm maybe this is a guy who's like, all right, I get to save my owner some money. That'll make him happy. Mm-hmm. I get to save a little cap space, and I get a pick. That's not bad. That's better than a kick in the balls. Huh. And maybe this helps me make friends. It's still underwhelming, but I understand why he did it. The logic with Taylor Hall I mean,
I think the
now
part
you're
of it
going
too
in
is
the media and being like, well, we demoted the guy, so we probably. What are you saying other than we weren't going to get a third for this guy at the deadline?
and we made sure of that by our own actions.
Yeah,
Because-
we demoted him.
Because what you do, and there were rumors that the Leafs did this with Phaneuf, was when they wanted to trade him and they knew that contract was a boat anchor, they put him in positions where they knew he could look good. And they kept him out of positions where they knew he would get rocked. And I would say Carolina did a great job in exploiting the great parts of Marty Necas. I think Marty Necas is a great hockey player. If you look at his stats last year to this year, and you look at his contentment and the coaching relationship with Brind'Amour last year to this year, not that they hate each other or anything like that, I don't want to be misconstrued, but the reality was, and this is very public, Marty Necas went to them and said, you are not playing me in the positions where I need to succeed. I want to trade.
And then he scored 3 points a game for like a month.
Right. and so the Carolina Hurricanes were like, hey, we put him in a position to succeed. It ups his trade value. Look at that. They end up with Mikko Rantanen. Whereas the Blackhawks, they fire Luke Richardson. They bring in Sorensen. And instead of Kyle Davidson being like, hey, listen, whatever it is you got to do to get Taylor Hall to play in the top 6, you freaking do it. You do it. And maybe it's like this is untenable and the but also
Still fifth in scoring. Was fifth in scoring on the Blackhawks.
Let's also throw this out there.
Not terrible.
Any trade involving Taylor Hall in this scenario involves retaining salary and probably half. So more than what they ended up retaining on Rantanen. And whose fault is that? Who signed him to a $6 million contract where, unlucky last year with the injury?
They've had to overpay everybody.
Foligno making $4 million.
Yep.
Again, we talked about what's Rantanen worth to the Avs. Maybe Taylor Hall is worth $6 million to the Chicago Blackhawks 2 summers ago, but it was a lot of money.
And what was it? Ben Pope wrote about with
TJ
they're
Brody.
going to buy out TJ Brody.
Well, yeah, they basically say Ben Pope basically said, and is it the Tribune? He basically said that TJ Brody has been so bad that it doesn't even make sense. They get $500,000 in savings for him next year, and even then, it doesn't make sense to not buy him out.
Anyone got a sticky note so I can write down all the great moves the Blackhawks have made over the last 2 years? This is bad.
And anytime a team gets a first overall pick, it is luck. Buffalo and Edmonton tried to get McDavid. One of them got it.
Yep.
And Toronto bottomed out, and they got Matthews.
And they were lucky.
But the rules have also changed since then, right? The rules, your chances of getting a first round pick have even diminished since then.
Oh, it's not the triple lottery ball.
Yeah, so your first overall pick.
Just one.
What's that?
It was just one with the Leafs.
Yeah,
wasn't it? Yeah.
And if reports are to be believed, the Leafs were 1 ball away from getting McDavid. One lottery ball.
Yeah.
But all that is to say, you said before the start of the year about the Montreal Canadiens, hey, what do you, in our season previews, and Canadiens fans got on you about this. What'd you say?
They got to take a step.
And it took a bit, but they did. And look at how great they're doing.
And people said, no. And now that they have, they're in my comments on Instagram going, see? And I'm like, whoa. Wait a sec. Whoa. What the hell?
So, gentlemen, I want both of you to answer this. At what point in Chicago do we start to see progress? Or do we need to start seeing progress before the spotlight squarely becomes Kyle Davidson's?
Their youth movement hasn't begun yet, though. It's only just sort of begun.
Sure.
With, because Connor Bedard's one guy. That doesn't count. Vlasic's there. They just called up Frank Nazar. And to me, that's maybe the beginning of it. It maybe just started with calling him up. But you're not even a rebuilding team on the ice. On the ice, you're still bottoming out. That's to me, you can't move forward with this group of mercenaries. You need your young guys to come in the lineup and be part of the solution. That's the only way for it. Look at San Jose, who seems to understand that. Things are going just as poorly for the Sharks as they are for the Blackhawks, but everyone seems to be having a good time.
Well, the goalie looks good. The trade with Nashville looks like a good trade.
It's great.
Askarov. And Celebrini looks like a rock star.
Looks great. Will Smith's looking
good too.
Whoa, look at that. Whoa. Lots of things are going great for the Sharks.
In the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
You see?
Because
the Will Smith song. Hey, ha ha. Anyway, but yeah, you see what I'm saying? It's awful. Jesse, need to know what you think about Kyle Davidson, general manager. Is it too early to judge? Is the pressure starting to kick up? What do you think?
I don't think there's pressure. The Blackhawks went from the 2008-2009 season through the Stanley Cup season, which would have been 14-15. Then the year after that, they missed the playoffs. They lost in the first round. Yeah. And they trade everybody after that. So that's like, you go through 8 seasons of sustained success at the highest level of the game. You win the triple championships. Everything's great. You've now bought yourself some time as a franchise to go through these depths, because at the end of that, you have the tail of the dynasty, like how the Penguins are at now, and you struggle through that, and you lose in the first round a couple of times, and now it's the bottoming out. And I thought the moves this offseason would have propelled them a little further ahead than where they are. I thought Kyle Davidson did some good things this offseason, and the best thing he could have ever done is getting Connor Bedard. And you see how quickly teams were able to turn around the Penguins and the Leafs and the Oilers once they got that generational superstar. And Bedard hasn't been that yet, which is some on him as not being what we all suspected to be, but also on Davidson for not doing enough to put something around him this early on in his career, but he still has time. That's the thing. That's the thing. What we got to remember with Chicago, they're at the bottom. They're at the bottom for a reason, and they still have time to build it up here. So I don't think there's a ton of pressure. He's got to do now what I thought he did last season in one of these off seasons now, where he does provide something here and build towards. I don't know if it's next year. We'll see what he does this season.
Maybe it might be Rantanen this summer.
Yeah,
right? It could be.
That's something significant.
All of the teams you mentioned, though, they had a youth wave. Though the Penguins had, we'll probably never see anything like that again. That was friggin' 4 straight top 2 picks. But like in one fell swoop, it's basically Crosby, Malkin, Fleury, Jordan Stahl, and you throw Chris Letang in there as well. Unbelievable. The Leafs had all their kids, even the Blackhawks. Like, they were able to have Taves and Kane at the same time.
And I'm asking for Davidson to do that. I'm asking him to find that, if you want to call it a youth wave, I'm asking him to bring in all of those top youth players that are going to propel the franchise forward. And he hasn't done that through the draft yet, but it might have also just not been enough time yet. Maybe we're a little premature in the expectations on the Blackhawks. They just had Taves and Kane 3 years ago. Like, you look at that team.
Isn't that crazy?
They were just there, so maybe we're jumping ahead a little too much. Maybe I jumped ahead way too much by putting expectations on this team.
CJ made a really, really good point, though, I think, last week.
Unlikely.
As he's known to do. 2 guys that consistently come up in this teardown are Hagel and DeBrincat. And
what was the reason?
How different does the Chicago Blackhawks team look with these guys? You could still get Hall, you could still get Foligno, but those guys were in their early 20s. You could have kept them.
You probably lock up. DeBrincat would have cost you money. I didn't love that trade at the time. I sort of look at it a little differently. Hagel would not have reached the heights that he has, and you probably lock him up to an even more reasonable number that he's already at, and then he's a part of the solution going forward. He's probably Bedard's line mate.
Yeah, and he'd be a great line mate. And I look at a guy like Connor Bedard, and I remember when Austin came to Toronto, and it's on the heels of the Leafs just fumbled into William Nylander because they that year they got William Nylander. They were expecting to make the playoffs. Leafs scouting staff did not like Nylander, and the story goes that Shanny went, "We're picking Nylander."
Yeah,
and then proceeded to fire a lot of people.
And 2 mistakes were made, but because Nylander was in that range and Nikolai Ehlers was in that range. It's Vancouver's turn to pick, and they picked Jake Virtanen.
Yeah,
and I went, that means they're gonna get one of them.
Ehlers or Nylander.
And then the next pick is Carolina, and they pick Hayden Fleury. And I went, they have their pick of the litter. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then I'm like, oh my God, they're going to pick Nick Ritchie. Oh my God, they're going to pick Nick
Which
Ritchie.
is apparently who they wanted.
And they get William Nylander, and the rest is history.
So then the next year, they're bad. And they, have a disaster year, and Horacek is in, and Randy Carlyle's out, and they end up with the 4th overall pick. And they get who?
Well, I don't remember who drafted him, but they picked Dylan Strome, and so Mitch Marner fell to the Leafs.
That's right. And then the next year, Austin picked. All 3 guys joined this team at the same time. But what do they have? They have 2 legitimate NHL centers ahead of them. They've got Tyler Bozak.
Yep.
And they got Nazem Kadri.
Yep.
And, that meant that Austin Matthews, who, when he came into the league, could score a bunch of goals, but was defensively needed a lot of work and wasn't a great face-off guy, right? Wasn't great. He was below 50, and that's
usually a weakness for young players, yeah.
Bedard is playing the best players on every team every night. Matthews wasn't.
With what behind him?
Exactly, because he has to.
Yeah.
And I look at his face-off percentage, and this is really unfair, but you have to look at the stats as they exist.
We talked about it a couple months ago. What's the update?
39% last year, so 38.9. Now it's 30,
horrible.
Now it's 32.
Oh, so it's barely improved.
And you have some people openly asking, well, is this guy a winger or what is it? And it's because he is having to play, like Austin Matthews, let's say the Leafs had played Boston in Austin's first year. He wasn't going to go head-to-head with Bergeron. He wasn't going to go head-to-head with Krejci. He was going to go head-to-head with whoever the third guy was.
Right.
And Bedard's got to play monsters every night.
With that, I think maybe if we look back on the bottoming out of the Blackhawks and them getting Bedard, they probably just got that player too early. They probably got Bedard too early in this rebuild. In the
should have traded him.
The 2022. No, it's just unfortunate timing about where they are. But the 2022-2023 NHL season, Patrick Kane played 53 games for the Chicago Blackhawks.
He played for the Blackhawks in 2023?
And Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane played 54 games and then was traded to the Rangers. And Jonathan Toews played 53 games.
This was 12 years ago. You're lying.
The 22-20, we are only in 2025, barely.
What?
They both played over 50 games for this team. And
2
then
years ago.
2
seasons
that
ago.
offseason, they get Connor Bedard.
Wow.
That's too early in the bottoming out to pick up your superstar, right? That's 2 seasons ago. And we think about this Blackhawks rebuild like they've been in this for 10 years.
But because they got Bedard.
Yeah. You want Bedard, obviously.
Well,
but we need to reframe the way we look at this as opposed to the McDavid one where Edmonton was bad for so long.
Yes.
The Maple Leafs one where they were bad for so long. It's that 2013 is the exception. And then they're so bad and they get Matthews, but they also have all of these picks around Matthews. The Blackhawks didn't have that luxury.
I think it feels long for 2 reasons. One, they took too long to bottom out. Like Pekka Rinne made them lose their mind. In one playoff series, made them completely forget how to succeed at all. They waited way too long and held on too long and tried to do things, and they were digging up for a long time. Then 2021 comes, and you can't talk about the Blackhawks without talking about them getting rocked by an enormous scandal. And all those things make it so that it hasn't been fun to cheer for the Chicago Blackhawks in a long time.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money with they took too long to rebuild because they haven't really been good since the 15-16 season. So they win the cup in the 14-15 season, and then the next season you lose to the Blues in the first round. The following season,
Preds was the following.
No,
really?
Yeah. So I'm like looking at.
Oh, the Blues series was great. No. Sorry.
So you lose to the Blues in the 15-16 season in Game 7.
Yeah.
And then the following season you get swept by the Preds 4 games. they really haven't been good since that Blues Game 7 loss.
Right.
You know, and it takes from 15-16, that playoff exit, to you win the fake playoffs in the 2020 bubble season where they lose to the Golden Knights in the first round.
They beat the Oilers, and they absolutely got smacked by Vegas.
Let's not take anything from that. And besides that, you don't win anything. And they should have bottomed out sometime in that 10-year window from 2016 to now, you know? So if they
set the bar unfathomably high.
Exactly.
And we're just not able to hold on to past success.
If you had done it earlier, you're further along in the rebuild. Maybe you get Bedard at the same timeline. You have more prospects and you're able to be good better, or you're able to be good sooner.
I would be lying if I said I hate to be that guy, because I fucking love to be that guy.
Oh my God.
But the true downfall of the Chicago Blackhawks
Don't you dare.
is Panarin.
You're it.
It is.
I can't believe
Tell
it.
me I'm wrong.
I can't believe it.
Tell me I'm wrong. They scored. What did they score in that Pred series? 3 goals.
It was not very many.
So then they're like, you know what? I'm so sick of this Panarin guy. Let's go get a guy who scores less goals.
Yeah.
Brandon
And by the
Saad's
way,
still in the league.
Who did Kyle Davidson learn under?
I guess it was Stan Bowman, wasn't it?
Yes. For years.
Well, look, the Oilers
and look
are great.
Look at old Stanny's record
And
over the last.
He built them.
Yeah,
he built
yeah,
the
he
Oilers.
built the
They
Oilers.
look great, and he built them.
I mean, their signings, the Oilers signings this year haven't, like, no one's talked about it. How's Jeff Skinner doing? Not great, man.
No.
You know they won the Western Conference that year?
The
Blackhawks? The year they lost in that first
And
round.
then they lost to a Stanley Cup finalist, first round. No, that was the year before, was it?
They were the best team in the West. So
Fart, boo.
the regular season.
Hey, I can't relate to being the best team in my conference or even my division, but I can relate to losing in the first round. To Columbus. To Montreal.
Stop it.
That 4-0 sweep was a 1v8. It's ridiculous.
1v8.
I didn't even know knows what those
Can
were
you
still
open it
allowed.
up? I just need to know the scores.
Of the games? Yeah.
I need to know if they scored 2 goals in a game. I don't think they did.
I'm
You're
pretty
gonna
sure they
have to
got
give me 40 seconds.
Yeah, no, this is
40 seconds.
40 seconds?
That's too many.
I'm going to do hockey reference. They're good.
I'm mad.
You know,
I'm mad at you.
I also think when you've got a team that finishes first in its division, first in its conference, and it goes down in a shitty series against Nashville, maybe don't overreact to that.
There you go,
We
Steve.
said that at the time. Here, okay, what do we got? Glasses. Game 1, 1-0 Preds win. Game 2, 5-0 Preds win. Oh, I was wrong. Game 3, the Blackhawks do score 2 goals. But they lose 3-2 in overtime. And then game 4, Preds win 4-1.
3 goals in 4 games, and they get shut out in the first 2. Can you imagine Toronto if the Leafs, like this spring, Leafs get blanked in the first 2 games? People are going to lose their minds.
Can you scroll down? I need to see Pekarine's, how many friggin' saves he made in 4 games.
Corey Crawford made 111 saves on 123 shots. That's a 902 save percentage.
Okay.
That's good.
Not bad. Not great.
Pecorino made 123 saves on 126 shots. That's a 976 with 2 shutouts.
The shots are even, basically.
They scored 3 goals on Pecorine.
That's so crazy.
Holy shit.
976. What a maniac.
Goals allowed.
He was
3.
34, too.
He had almost as many shutouts as goals allowed.
That's one of the that series needs to be talked about more. That's a crazy series.
I think it's pretty tough.
At 34 too. They no, that series broke their brains irreparably.
Yeah, that's like Vancouver after the finals in 2011. Just melted them down. They never were the same.
There was another one, a first round loss that, okay, let's just wreck our shit.
How do we make this? Hey, this is not great. How do we make it worse?
This is going a little too well.
Okay.
Let's fuck it up.
New year. Perhaps it is time for you to refresh your wardrobe. And might we suggest Doer?
Put it on your butt.
Our friends at Doer, they've got new styles, new washes for their jeans. You know, because are you stone washing your jeans? Are you just having a raw denim? Like what kind of night? What kind of day are you having? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The great thing about Doer is they have performance denim, and we call it lifestyle apparel because it's built for doing stuff. It's not built for sitting around. You know, not screwing around.
It's got a little bit of that
It's built for doering stuff.
Wait,
Hey.
it's got like a soft liner in it.
Yeah, I know. And listen, they make the clothes sustainably and ethically because we don't need any more fast fashion. We need stuff that's going to last. If you're going to spend the money, spend it on something great. And Dewar has more than just jeans, by the way. Jesse wears his shacket in every once in a while, which is a very nice one.
The green flannel I wear, if you watch the podcast on video, if you ever see me wear a green flannel, that is a Dewar product.
You'll find us in Dewar's this year. If you haven't ordered your Dewar's yet, now is the time. Check out Dewar's flagship stores in Canada and the United States or online at shopdewar.com/SCP. And hey, listen, in case you're like, guys, what do you think? I'm made of money? We can give you a 20% discount. Shop Dewar. Go to shopdeuer.com/SDP. That's shopdeuer.com/SDP. 20% off. That's a great deal. Don't wait. 20% off. Shopdeuer.com/SDP. Now let's move on to a couple of things I want to talk about. First off, we mentioned in the BetMGM big story, but I want to go back to this. 4 Nations, no Pietrangelo. Looking like right now, Drew Doughty is the obvious choice. Apparently, he's feeling healthy and ready to go. He's probably going to get a couple of games in before he plays 4 Nations. And, you know, his injury is a broken bone, right? So it's not like it's one of those where it's like broken bones they're not great, but they're easier than like, hey, I pulled a groin and it's going to bother me all year, or I've got a high ankle sprain and
A ligament problem,
Yeah.
a joint problem.
like when it's broke, it's broke. When it's fixed, it's fixed.
Yeah.
If you're the Kings, you're probably thrilled with this because it gets him high sequence hockey, crazy minutes against crazy competition, and he comes back and he just feels completely refreshed and ready to go.
Who better to practice against? No. You know what? Conditioning stint with the Ontario Reign. No, this thing. I think he needs to be going up against Austin Matthews and Jack Eichel and Sebastian Aho and William Nylander and all these guys.
My question to you guys is a challenging one. Tell me, if Drew Doughty was not available, who you would take?
Chris Tanev.
You'd take Chris Tanev.
No, I'm just being a dick.
Are you giving us options, or are we supposed to think of them?
Well, I can pull up skater stats if you want.
I still probably don't go with Evan Bouchard. Like, there's so many guys.
Oh, that's going to go over well in Edmonton.
I mean, you get it. You watch him. Like, if I needed a power play quarterback, for sure, but I don't.
Right.
Right, and we're talking about the best defenseman Canada has to offer. So, no, I probably don't. Who am I playing him with? Who's the babysitter?
Well, that's a really good question, right?
Matthias Ekholm Canadian?
No, he's not.
Well,
now,
I have my pick.
who do you pick?
My pick is Mackenzie Weegar.
good pick.
That's my pick.
Wow. Now, why Mackenzie Weegar?
Not the Oiler. Let's go with the Flame. Yeah, you know what, Adam? This will go over well.
Screw Edmonton.
Yeah.
That's why. No, I think Mackenzie Weegar is the stable defenseman you need. I don't like the idea of going offensive defenseman. I think Evan Bouchard's a fantastic defenseman. I don't think that's what Canada needs right now. I don't think Chris Tanev is a crazy idea because that's the role that you want them to fill. You know, they have enough guys. They have enough offense. What you need is defense, and I love Mackenzie Weegar's defensive game. So Mackenzie Weegar is my pick.
Steven.
Yeah. What?
If we're not going Doughty. Like,
Yeah. If you're not going Doughty. Yeah.
I know,
The non-Doughty team.
I'm trying to look at
Weegar
other
would be-
players.
Because I like I actually have said this. I think Chris Tanev would be great because just for that reason.
Yeah.
He's not going to get you much offense. You don't care. You're Team Canada. You've got lots of forwards and lots of defensemen who can score. The other name I'm going to bring up is a guy that's having a somewhat off season, but I still think is pretty steady and great, and that's Noah Dobson.
I was just going to say Noah Dobson.
And I say off season as in like he's not scoring 70 points this year.
Well, I mean, the
but
Islanders.
nobody is on the Islanders.
Great. I need someone who's as steady and dependable as Alex Pietrangelo, right? Like, I'm not worried about the points you're putting up. Mm-hmm. I need a minute eater. That's what Dobson's doing, albeit on a terrible team. And like, do I need a minute eater? Because look at the other guys on this friggin' team.
Well,
They can all play. Every single person on Team Canada
Can play
on their
25
team
minutes.
It can play 25 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So I don't worry about the minutes. Yeah, Dobson's not a terrible pick.
I'll give you two more.
Okay.
Okay. And you can pick, you don't have to pick these, but I'll give you a couple more. Aaron Ekblad.
I would pick Brandon Montour over at Aaron Ekblad.
Ooh. I disagree.
Really?
Yeah.
That's I see Montour as exactly the type of player like Bouchard is, kind of like just more offensively minded. Like, okay, if we're replacing Pietrangelo verbatim, we need a right-handed shot.
Yep.
It's
Oh, I'm not even thinking about handedness.
they got to be. Well, Uyghur's right-handed.
Yeah.
So is Zach Bled.
I
Got to
that
be a
one.
right-handed shot, and they got to be big and mean. They got to be physically imposing, and like Petrangelo's offensively capable, but like that's not really his bag right now.
Montour's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I should triple check.
I like him. That's not a bad player. It wouldn't be a disaster. That just wouldn't be my pick.
Okay.
Ekblad's also just getting back from injury.
Yeah. So you're taking who are you taking?
Oh, Adam's still gone.
Well,
Unless Montour was the other guy.
I said Ekblad. I didn't say No, I wasn't going to say that. What about
no.
What
I'm being
about
a coward.
guy-
Adam, name him.
what about a guy who's played?
Tell me it's 5 minutes why you wouldn't pick somebody.
Yeah.
I'm asking for your pick.
Adam.
Well, here's two more names. Mike Matheson, Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
He's a left shooter, but he has had a really, really strong year on their defense, and he's steady. He's a steadying guy on a core that's not that deep.
Nah.
Okay, Bo Byram. What about that?
Nah. Yeah. Not.
I'm going deep here, right? Like
I know you are going deep.
I think you gotta
I've-
pick somebody. I don't know why you're stressing so much over this little fun game.
Vince Dunn.
It's not, and it's also
No.
it's going to be Drew Doughty. So like
It is.
your pick.
That's why it's.
Your pick doesn't even mean much.
But Jesse, Steve is going to be held to this forever. That would have been Mike Matheson. Would have been your way into Habs fans' hearts. I cannot believe you didn't
not
take
doing
him.
it.
That would have been. That's an easy.
No,
path.
Habs fans would have been like, "You're actually insane." Yeah, I mean, Doughty's the pick. I'd probably go Ekblad.
Okay. Interesting. All right. We're gonna.
I think I win.
They're gonna slow play. Yeah, I think you do. They.
The real answer's Tanev.
They are gonna slow play
Uyghur.
this over the next few days.
It's Riley.
Because they still need to get the final sign off from the Kings. But you know what's crazy is LA's having a great year, very quietly, and you're gonna add Drew Doughty to that lineup. Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh,
the
yeah.
Avs better make another move, right? Like the West better load up. They are clearly the stronger conference this year.
This is going to be a very saucy winter on the trade front.
Absolutely. Also makes, just as an aside, it makes things for like a team like Nashville, which I thought had a hole to jump in there and become a playoff team again. How are you going to do that with all these other guys?
Well-
like the Canucks are still in it. They're going to make a trade.
Well, how the hell is anyone in the West supposed to do it? And then, oh, here come the Rangers.
And they're great. I mean,
Yep.
they lost last night, but they're a great. The Rangers are playing like the Rangers should have been.
It's low-key a killer loss because you don't even get a point.
Yeah, it sucks.
You're not talking about Nashville making the playoffs this year.
No, I'm talking about
Okay.
Nashville.
No, at one point, we're like, they might be fine.
No,
I thought
No,
Nashville was going to be really good. No, they're terrible.
No, they're dead.
Yeah, they're so done.
Nope, dead.
Yeah.
Man, the way they played last year versus this year is crazy. Now, Jesse, I just sent you a video.
Okay.
This, I'm convinced, because it is Detroit and because it is Tampa,
Oh,
this does not make national news the way it should. And it's not because Detroit and Tampa aren't huge hockey markets. They are.
Yeah.
But it's a non-national game,
Yep.
right? It's a regional game on the FanDuel Sports Network. And it is a play towards the end of the third period. And Steve, you've got Rasmussen and you've got Kucherov, and the puck and a player both hit the net. What happens?
Rasmussen, who has been known to have... Oh, Jesse, that was the screenshot right there. You stink. Rasmussen has had...
Kucherov, you're talking
Yes.
to. Yes.
Rasmussen has had spicy empty net goals this season. Earlier, it was against the New Jersey Devils. He scored and then stood over Jack Hughes and being all tough and brr. The Red Wings are up 1-0. There's 28 seconds to go in the game. He is about to put the puck in the empty net with Nikita Kucherov chasing him. While the Lightning are losing a game,
He slips on a banana peel.
Kucherov tries to help his team. Kidding. He quits, shits his diaper with the force of a jet engine, like he always does. He takes out Rasmussen's skate, slashes him right on the skate blade on purpose, sends him tumbling into the net, and Rasmussen is slow to get up and visibly hurt. This is a dirty play. This is a very obviously intentional play. This is a chicken shit play from a chicken shit player. I don't care that Nikita Kucherov is one of the most... No one's taking anything away from him. He is a clear and proven winner.
All world.
He is an all-world player. He is going to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. He is one of the most, if not the most talented players in the entire league. No one is taking a single thing away from him. He's entertaining. You could even say he's funny. This is a deliberate intent to injure from a chicken shit player that you let get away with chicken shit all the time. All the fucking time. Last year, that elbow to the face of Tom Wilson, couldn't believe it was nothing. It was fucking nothing. He knew Wilson was behind him the whole time. He did his little shoulder check, throws the elbow up, gets him right in the face. Nothing happens. Now, what did we talk about last week? Connor McDavid did something that is 2 games. It's 2 games. He did something suspension worthy, but it is always 2 games, unless you're Morgan Riley and you try to cross-check someone in the face, skating at them full speed.
Yeah, which is 5.
Which is 5. They set the precedent. It's 2 games. Unless you're Timo Meier, then it's 1. Unless you're Connor McDavid, then it's 3. McDavid gets the extra game because why? This was a heated debate. It was one of the best episodes of the CJ show.
Because he elbowed Johansson in the face in the previous game.
But that's not a legitimate
I
reason.
know.
It's because
I was trying to get
you
Jesse
decided this is nothing.
Yeah.
So it's nothing. Connor McDavid has a history. He had been suspended in 2019. That's why he got the extra game.
However, hold on. Aren't they supposed to not look at things after 18 months? Isn't it supposed to be a clean record after 18? That's what bothered me about that. Because Julian and Chris are having a legitimate conversation. They're like, well, he's got a history here. I thought the league looked at it like when they who beaned Oscar Sundqvist?
That's
Tom Wilson.
Tom Wilson.
But there was like an 18-month gap. And they're
believe-
like, well, he gets this many games because it's been 18 months since his last issue.
I want to say the vernacular is different for a player as a history and a player as a repeat offender. Which is,
my God.
I think
yeah,
absurd.
you're probably right.
No, a player is considered a repeat offender for 18 months following his most recent incident that resulted in a suspension. His status as a repeat offender in this category is used to determine the amount of salary forfeited should he receive another suspension. So they're allowed to look at your history of when you've broken rules in the NHL and been suspended, but the repeat offender 18-month window is to use to determine the salary that you relinquish.
Got it.
So it's like an actual. The thing the NHL doesn't do is write down hard and fast rules and have just strict. Hey, this means this. They actually have done that with repeat offender rules.
Okay, cool.
So Connor McDavid got suspended 2019. You know who else got suspended 2019? Nikita Kucherov for boarding Nudivara on the Blue Jackets, I believe. And I think he was also suspended in the playoffs once, or was that a fine? I'm not totally sure. Either way, he was suspended the same year as Connor McDavid. This is a deliberate attempt to injure a player. He did get a penalty. Mm-hmm. It just...
Who cares? There's 30 seconds left.
The ref throws up their arm. The goal goes in. So it's nothing. And Kucherov knows that. It's a freebie. He got a free... reason to injure a player on a divisional rival.
And Rasmussen, as much as he did skate off, but if you saw him going down the tunnel, he had 2 guys
hurt
under his arms. Yeah.
He was hurt. Because why? Because some player took out his feet on purpose for an empty net. It's not the same as what Mark Scheifele did to Jake Evans in the playoffs, where Evans scored an empty netter and Scheifele from about 30 strides away just decided to kill him. But in spirit, what's the fucking difference? In spirit, you're like, you know what? They're about to score an empty netter. I'm going to get my pound of flesh.
Here, Maddie, put this in the TikTok that's going to come from this. But Steve, you cheer for the Leafs. Morgan Riley cross-checked Riley Grigg in the face for doing the same thing.
And you're not going to believe what happened? You're not going to fucking believe what happened.
How can you sit over there and talk all this about Nikita Kucherov when you cheer for Morgan Riley?
Yeah. Well, Jesse, get ready to hold on to your ass and dick and balls because he was suspended for 5 games. 5 games for what he did.
And you know what's interesting about it? The Morgan Riley thing, the big thing that they said was, hey, it happened after the play was over. That was part of the problem.
He shouldn't have fucking done it.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have done it. And the league went, here are all the onion layers of why he shouldn't have done it. 5 games. 4 games, and you play for the Leafs, fuck you.
And Perron got 5 or 6 against Zub, right? For cross-checking him in the head.
Alan Walsh client.
Yes.
Nikita Kucherov is
A saint.
provably
Great guy.
the dirtiest, greasiest scumbag in the league, and the league does nothing about it.
Put that as the start of the TikTok.
If I'm in no, and this is a Leaf fan saying this. If I'm an Oilers fan, I look at what Kucherov did in that clip, and I'm losing my mind.
Why?
McDavid got suspended for something that is absolutely a suspension. Why is cross-checking a guy in the face a suspension?
Because it's dangerous.
Because it's dangerous and the guy might get hurt. You intentionally take out a guy's feet and send him crashing into the net, the thing that broke Steven Stamkos' leg a few years ago.
Yep.
And because it's Rasmussen on the Red Wings, who gives a shit? I'm going to suspend Kucherov for something he did to like some middle six guy on the Wings? Gives a shit. Gives a shit. We're trying to sell seats here.
But you suspend McDavid for what he did to a middle six guy on the
Not
Canucks.
just suspend McDavid, but you jack up his suspension because of a suspension that he had in 2019. What's Kucherov got under his belt besides knives and guns? The dude's unbelievably dirty.
He's a red mist player.
He's
no
a
question.
red mist. Yeah, except it's just the cloud is part of it. It just orbits around him like the rings of Saturn. He's not a player who activates red mist. He's a player who always plays with violence on his mind. And someone's going to get fucking hurt.
Okay.
Someone did, actually, and you didn't give a fuck.
Hey,
You're
man,
the worst department
listen,
of player
we don't-
safety in sports.
They might give him a $2,500 fine. Like, they could be
That
significant.
happened more than 24
Yeah,
hours.
no, we're well removed from that. That was Saturday.
Man, I guess not then.
Yeah, no, we're removed from the window of when they would have done
I guess
that.
Nikita Kucherov doesn't need to put on antiperspirant today because I'm
Hey.
sure he was going to sweat that one.
Hey,
That was-
I'll
what
give
are
you
you
another
doing?
fan base that
That
should
was
be losing
bad.
their mind. The Detroit Red Wings.
Well, they are.
They are
losing
because of what happened to their player. Also, who happened to get the longest suspension in the NHL last year?
A Red Wing?
David Perron.
Oh, right.
When he was with the Red Wings. And you know why? He shouldn't have done it. Player might have got hurt. Blah, 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 blah. They don't care.
There was a clip going around too of I don't know what season it happened, but Kucherov also tried this on JG Pajot against the Islanders,
Bad guy.
and it didn't work. So you'll see here, he gets him right in the gonads
Yep.
on the
Which is-
on the empty net.
Which is a fine every time. Every time.
I believe that's how this play works. Yeah, there it is, right between the legs. Tries to can opener him. Doesn't really work. Hits him in the gonads, and JG Pajot turns around and is like,
And look at
"Fuck
him.
you."
Look at him. Look at him.
Good.
And then
And
he
they
goes
go
after
at it.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, chicken shit.
Yeah, and Kucherov tries to fight back, and that's the other.
This is what happens when you don't take care of your problems. All the NHL has done is taught Nikita Kucherov over and over and over and over and over and over again is this is okay. Make hockey violent again. Attaboy, George. Attaboy. Attaboy, George. You fucking unbelievably useless at their job person. Horrible.
Nikita Kucherov has been fantastic for my fantasy team. Great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great. This you know what? This is what makes him a good player. Like this
Absolutely
edge,
it is.
This edge that he
Absolutely.
plays with makes him the Hart Trophy candidate year in, year out.
Because
Yep.
you never
And-
know when
And
he's
guess
gonna
what?
snap.
And guess what? That fire that he plays with makes him good.
Yeah.
And he deserves to be punished when he does something dirty. This isn't complicated.
Deserved
I don't
is-
think this is complicated at all.
Deserved is a strong word.
Oh, Jesse. Who's the top player on your fantasy team?
McKinnon Kucherov.
Damn, that's a good fantasy team.
Yeah, I sold out because we do auction draft because we're a real league. So I did an auction. We did auction drafts, and I always sell out every year for the top players. It's a really good fantasy.
Hope
strategy.
McKinnon doesn't score an empty netter against the Lightning.
I hope he does.
Oh,
Then
season ender.
I got that point.
Like, what's it going to take? What's it going to take?
Well, it would also take Detroit having somebody not baby soft in their lineup? Like, who's going to go after him?
Well, it's not like
Detroit and
the
New Jersey
Lightning
are like softer teams, right?
It's not like the Lightning have routinely had like tough guys in their lineup,
but they're gritty.
They're a very
Brandon Hagel,
gritty team.
Nick
team.
Paul,
Annoying team.
Asamont, going back, Blake Coleman, Barclay Goudreau. Like, those are not fun. Those are mean guys, right? I don't see the Red Wings have been better since Todd McClellan's been there, but I don't see them as the Detroit scary mean guys.
Listen, you can't do that. It's fucking ridiculous that's nothing.
Yep. Yeah.
Completely ridiculous.
I know.
Unacceptable for any league that fancies itself professional.
I know.
And also, it wasn't nothing. It was 2 minutes for tripping.
Not a league.
Steve,
Not a league.
Steve, do you know the rules of hockey? He got a penalty.
Yeah.
Steve's pissed, man. Like, yeah, I can.
I don't know why. They called the penalty.
All right. Hey, just a quick thing. I was driving home from... Is that your Steve Dangle impression?
Nikita Kucherov is a fucking scumbag.
Do you know George Barrows?
Oh my God.
I don't know. I don't know. I assume he's a nice guy.
Oh, yeah?
I assume he's
Make hockey violent again.
Well, if you were... I mean, you also share a love of players getting hurt. So if you were also his close personal friend, you'd be hired in a second.
I don't think we should take out violence out of hockey. I think it's a part of the game. Guys
Jesse,
playing hard.
and only
There's
soft
violent
people like you would think so.
Fuck off. It's not taking violence out of hockey. You're not allowed to deliberately injure a player. That has always been in the rules. It's rarely been enforced.
Everybody listening, you just heard it. Steve Dangle wants them to play with mittens on.
Wow.
You know, he wants hockey to look like Leo's hockey. Am I right, guys?
Jesus Christ, you belong on Fox.
Hey, who goes grocery shopping with their husband anyway? So, no, I'm kidding.
They're so fucking weird.
Let's keep moving. Keep moving.
Sorry.
So, Boston Pizza Stouffville, Wednesday, February 12th. That's not Tuesday. It's Wednesday, February 12th. Us and you at BP Stouffville, brought to you by Molson, the official beer for hockey and a partner of the Toronto Maple Leafs and PWHL.
I also tried to excuse you for that date by saying, "Oh, last year was Tuesday, February 12th," because you go back.
But last year was a leap
year, so that
Monday.
It wasn't actually February 12th. So you had no excuse for.
I did. It was written as
that.
Tuesday, February 12th.
Yeah, all right, Ron Burgundy.
All right. So anyway, long story short, we're going to be at 1060 Hoover Park Drive in Stouffville. And what are we doing? Well, we're hanging out and getting ready for the Four Nations face-off, which everybody's very excited about. We're going to do a live show. Steve, you got a stream to do. And here's the great thing. Every time you order Molson Canadian, you get a chance to call the shot where you make score predictions. And it's your chance to win $40,000 worth of prizing. So not only do you get to come and enjoy, but you could win too.
Damn.
Do we like that?
What if the $40,000 is like one Steve's car?
You get to win Steve's
My
Mazda.
car is
Mazda.
not $40,000. I can assure
What if
you
you get
of
to win
that.
Steve's car duplicated 3 times? Then it's $40,000.
Yeah, there you go. You get 4 of
Steve's cars.
Molson Canadian wants to bring everyone in on hockey, so you should be there. Boston Pizza, Wednesday, February 12th. We're going to have a great time. See you there. Oh, yeah, by the way, link for tickets. It's in the description. I should mention that.
All right.
By the way, we hope you have a good time.
The last thing I want to say is this. We didn't talk about the Leafs and Sens on Saturday night. It's not because we're salty Leaf fans. It's because there were bigger stories. Sorry, Sens fans. I know you want to gloat, and you deserve to. I do think you did a great job with the stream. As I said, I listened to it all the way home in the truck as Jesse and I drove home Saturday night, and I thought... I was like, this is better than a radio broadcast. I'm enjoying this.
Not
more.
enough deliberate attempts to injure.
No, not enough.
For it
Not
to be
enough. It
deemed
really took away from the
entertaining.
enjoyment, I think.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys want to say about that game other than the one thing that I took away from it was people were like, see, this is the problem. Leafs depth scoring. They can't do it. I'm like, Bobby McMahon scored, man. That is depth scoring.
I don't think there's a lot to take away from a game where you didn't have John Tavares and Matthew Nice.
They didn't have Josh Norris.
Sure. And no offense to Quillen, shouldn't be in the lineup in a Leafs team. And he won't be in the lineup when this team actually has to win games. The game they had to try and win was a game where they wouldn't have been able to put up a bunch of goals because the Ottawa Senators are very good at not allowing teams to score. There's a lot of injured Leafs right now, and I'm not too fussed about that loss.
Raves, Mitten, and Quillen played 7 shifts each.
Oh my God.
In a game that was tied nearly the whole time. And like, what's the point?
Why are you dressing them?
I think the Leafs did a good job in a game where they're so undermanned to lose on a bounce off of a knee. That's how they lost. It's really a 1-1 game, and you got a bad bounce. That's a pretty good hockey game, and I agree with Craig Berube that there's a lot of good stuff to take away from that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, because Craig said this is a game that you if you play like this, you're going to win a lot of hockey games.
Yeah.
And I just feel like because it was a Battle of Ontario loss, a lot of fans weren't looking at it like that. But like they did the things that he wanted.
That game sucked from an entertainment standpoint.
Oh, it's horrible.
Everybody watching that knows, like, an entertainment.
I had to stream the thing. It was awful.
Zero. Like, zero. Nothing happens for like 2 periods. One weird goal that we can all argue about, and then that's kind of it because nothing else happened.
Neither team even played well.
No, but
the Leafs did back half of the game, but first period was terrible.
And that's what's going to happen when you're not playing a lot of hockey. This stretch here for the Leafs is so awkward in the schedule where you have that game Wednesday, you don't play till Saturday, you don't play a game till next Wednesday. That's not the regular hockey you're going to be playing when things are at their peak in the playoffs. Playoffs every other night you're going, and you want that momentum to carry you through games. So you get this little bit of a weird layoff, and you go into that game and you think about the strategies for both teams. You're in the back room and you're in the locker room writing on the whiteboard saying like, okay, how are we going to win this game against the Sens, who are getting great goaltending lately, playing great defensive hockey. They can't score, so they're going to try and win a low event game. Everything's going to be low event on both sides, and that's how it played out. And one of us is going to break through and get something. They both got really good goals that you can't blame the goaltender, and then the Sens got the lucky bounce and the Leafs didn't. If the Leafs got a lucky bounce, they win that game. Sens got the lucky bounce, so they won it. Not fussed about Saturday.
Going to add to that, Connor Dewar and Jacob Quillen did not skate, so it's probably why Quillen only got 7 shifts. Obviously, he had the knee-to-knee accidental collision with Nick Cousins. Nick Cousins?
Yeah. Who got the worst of it?
Who got the worst of it? That just was... I remember listening to it in the truck and then going home and rewatching, going, okay, yeah, totally accidental on both sides. Connor Dewar did not skate as well. Connor Dewar fighting something, which is a bummer because I think he's played well when he's been in, but he started the year with a big injury, came back, played really well, and then injured again somehow. Good news on the horizon, okay? Tavares, Nyes, Pacioretty all skated at the practice facility today. And the team had their outdoor practice today.
That's right.
So those guys weren't there for that, but at least they're on the ice practicing like normal. So that's good.
The Leafs, I don't know if anybody from the Leafs is going to hear this, did not help themselves, I think, by moving their practice to down where in Etobicoke. So they moved their outdoor practice from Nathan Phillips Square in Toronto to the one at that rink at Lakeshore there where they practiced today. Come on. Like, you're going to get so many more people at Nathan Phillips. Like, that's where the people are.
Yeah, it's pretty empty, actually.
Let's do it there instead of right next to Ford for Performance Center, where you probably want it to be.
You know what I'm going to throw out there?
Stick to Nathan Phillips here.
I'm going to throw it out there. You're not going to like it. And Steve, you'll totally agree. It probably has to do with how freaking hard it is to get to Nathan Phillips Square. Like, for the players.
Yeah.
What a pain in the ass.
Yeah, this is like where the outdoor rink is. It's just like south of where the Ford Performance facility is, where they practice.
Yep.
It probably makes sense for them logistically and team-wise to keep it near the practice facility.
Isn't this the one where they usually, like, they take the subway there?
Yes.
And everyone's like, oh, isn't this cute?
Yes.
And I always get the impression the players disagree.
Yes. I
think
think
it's
the whole show of the day, they went away from that for probably obvious on-ice reasons, and I'm just being a fan here and being like, I wish it was at Nathan Phillips. That was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, they make sense. You guys probably did the right
Prettier.
thing.
So, again, good win for the Sens. Not a bad loss for the Leafs. You move on. Wild are in town on Wednesday, which is a really, really good test. I wondered...
Steve did have a great point about the knee-kicking goal. Because you were talking about the other knee kicking goal.
Oh, the Lawrence one with Washington.
So you said either this one they got wrong or this one they got correct, but both of them can't be one or the other.
Yeah,
I thought that was very interesting.
Well, I was looking at Sens fans talking about it. They're like, oh, he's crying about that, blah, 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 blah. And then someone posted the Lawrence goal, and they're like, oh, well, that should have counted. But well, whatever. This one's a goal, and I'm like, okay, so I'm right.
Right.
I'm
so one
either
was right, one was wrong.
Steve, have you considered that you're a biased Leaf fan who wants hockey to be soft?
Yeah. Correct. No, I'm kidding. Like, all I have is the precedent in front of me.
Yes.
This has happened once in a Leaf game this season. And guess what? It wasn't a goal. And so I see that and I'm like, well, surely this won't be a goal. Alas, it is the game-winning goal.
Outstanding.
Perfect. Exactly what we all expected. No notes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I do want to mention, for anybody who cares, we're going to start to hear a lot more about the Olympics coming up. And the IIHF, Luke Tardif, who is the head of it, I don't know if he's president, CEO, whatever the guy that runs the damn thing. He was asked today at a press conference about Team Russia. Now, for anybody asking, and there are still randomly people asking this, if you're asking me why Team Slovakia, Team Czech Republic, Team whatever, we're not involved in the Four Nations, I got you. I understand.
Team Czech Republic, reigning world champion.
If you're asking why Russia was not involved, I can tell you. It's because Finland and Sweden would have said, we're not coming.
Yeah.
So the IIHF were asked about it today, and they said, we're having a meeting on Feb 2 to 4, and we will put out a press release then. And Slava Fetisov, former NHL player, legend in Detroit, head of Russia's Ice Hockey Federation, said, we don't want to go without our anthem, our colors, our coat of arms. So that is and so what Russia is basically suggesting is because, the Olympics have banned Russia from a lot of Olympic games since Sochi because of the doping. There was like a whole doping scandal that happened in Sochi.
They were kicked out before they invaded another country for no reason.
Yes. Yeah. So instead of it being, it's not that the athletes aren't allowed to go, they're just not allowed to go under their own flag. So you'll have Olympic athlete from Russia
and
not
individual
Russian
athletes in tennis still compete that way. They
right.
compete under no flag.
Right. So Team Russia is going to be there in some regard. It's just a question of how. But Russia is saying, we're not going to participate unless it's under our flag. We'll see if they hold to that, and we'll see if the IIHF holds to that. I don't know what the right answer here is.
Listen,
but I'm just giving you the news.
How badly do you need this country in this tournament?
I think you need it.
No,
I think you need great players.
Pull out of Ukraine.
Okay.
Or fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, we'll make do. We'll have the tournament without you.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Yeah. In terms of what is more important.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
Fuck off from Ukraine, and then you can play, and this isn't a problem.
Yeah.
But until you until you stop doing this, you're not involved. I think this is a very easy conversation, and the only reason they're entertaining it is greed.
Got it. Okay. Well, I just thought I'd throw that out there. It is news from today.
Luke Tardif, by the way, is the president of the IIHF.
Well,
so there you go.
There you have it.
You're wondering.
The guy that runs it, a.k.a. Prez.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know. Why aren't they there right now?
Because they...
International politics.
Yeah.
Right. Internet... No. What'd they do?
Oh, yeah. Well, we don't need to...
No. They invaded a place.
Yeah.
Okay. Did they leave? No. Okay. So that's still on the table.
Right.
It's that versus, true best on best. This might be our last chance to watch Ovechkin. Fuck off.
Yeah. No, I get it.
You didn't undo the thing that you were kicked out for in the first place. That means you continue to sit in the corner. What's wrong with that?
Interesting. I don't know.
Alexander Ovechkin, since we're talking about Russia, is 20 goals away from tying Wayne Gretzky, 21 from beating him.
No, isn't he 20? No, he's 20
from beating
him now.
20 from beating, 19 from tying.
That's crazy.
That's wow. Fun. Which one is the one you do the big ceremony for? Tying?
No, beating.
Beating?
Beating. Well, what happened with Gretzky when he beat Howe?
I wasn't there.
Sure you were. No, were you even born? You might not have been born.
There's no way. When did it happen?
When he beat Howe?
The Kings.
Kings. You would have been alive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it was like, you would have been like 1 or 2.
Okay.
It's that goal where he went like, and he
Yeah.
skipped along the ice.
Skipping.
Yeah, it's like he's a little. It's like the gritty before the gritty, the early '90s gritty.
Yes.
No.
one's-
Did Gretzky gritty on him?
Yeah. Oh, he Widowy. Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky. Widowy. It's terrible. No, the celebration is owning the record.
Is the 895
sole possession of the record.
right? Yeah. So I'm so excited, am jacked for the countdown to it. Like when we get to 5.
No, he gets 894 with 5 games left in the season and doesn't score again for the rest.
That would be a really big disappointment.
It'd be absolutely awful. Caps, I think, might get swept first round if that happens.
Yeah. Okay.
Or win.
Press conference?
I think we are over to... Actually, let me just shout out this one Twitter user here, and we will do that. So I'll hit the button.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
This first question comes from Kucherov Defender 69. Steve, how come you're such a little bit... No, sorry. What do we got?
It's a good question. We should probably leave with that, but maybe next time. This time, we need to go with Melissa Foley, who tweeted all of us, including the SDPN Sports account. You can interact with SDPN Sports at SDPN Sports on any of your favorite social media platforms. Melissa tweeted us and said, "My New Jersey," not New Jersey, the state, but their New Jersey. "Only 5 stops left after my trip to Utah in March." And if we reveal the photo, Melissa has been visiting every NHL arena.
Oh,
That's
so
sick.
cool.
On the back of the jersey, on the nameplate, it reads "Road Trips." I assume it's a Leafs jersey on the front, because you can.
It looks like it.
You can tell.
It could
by
be
the
a
colors.
Lightning jersey because they're
Actually,
a direct ripoff of the Leafs.
yeah, it might. No, because the Lightning patch is there, and there's no Leafs patch.
Oh, right, okay.
So I'm going to assume, Melissa, this is a Leafs jersey, but it could also be a Lightning jersey because you can't really tell. But Melissa has patched on a patch from each city on the back of the jersey for each game that she has attended. So we see on there's Wild, Jets, Avs, Blues, Canucks, Flames, Oilers, Canadians, Rangers, Penguins, Blue Jackets, Florida's on the side there, the 2014 Winter Classic, Ducks, Sharks, Kings. There's one over here. I can't tell.
That
what
looks
it
like
is.
Caps.
The Caps probably maybe. Lightning. I thought this was so cool.
Monster. This is
Thrashers.
a monster.
Atlanta Thrashers
That's
is
amazing.
on the jersey too, so you know how way back this is going. Preds, Detroit Red Wings, Ottawa Senators, and Buffalo Sabres.
Where did
So
you even find that patch?
as Melissa writes, 5 spots left. And then after the trip to Utah, so 6 spots left. They're going to visit Utah in March, and then they got 5 NHL arenas left to visit for now. You know, because
I think
NHL is going to add some teams.
Yeah, well,
Yes. I'm still trying to figure out who the hell that team is. Can you
On the
zoom
side?
in on
I
that?
feel like that's the Caps. It just feels like that.
I don't know.
So there's a C and it's blue.
I don't know.
And there's some red in there.
So
Isn't that a stick?
there's also one over here that you can't see at all. See the corner there?
Oh, I'm frustrated.
There's something there, and I think maybe something there. I'm not sure.
Shark.
So
Still
we
very
can't,
neat.
we can't really piece together what 5 teams are missing. It'd probably take a little time anyways. But I thought I just shout out Melissa for doing something really cool. I love people who do things like this. You know, you always see like every summer people being like, "Oh, I visited every baseball park in the league in one summer," and that sort of stuff. It's cool to see this in the NHL.
I would love to get Melissa's power ranking of her 3 favorite.
like best stadium atmospheres, crowd.
I wouldn't even say like atmosphere is one thing, but it also is so team dependent. Like if they suck, then the atmosphere is going to suck, even though they could be a good team. Like I don't think Nashville's got the best atmosphere this year, even though when they're rocking, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to know what stadium has the best amenities, easiest access to the bathroom, best food.
Of course you would.
Yeah, the bathroom thing's number 1 on your list.
I gotta
right?
pee.
Yeah.
What?
Adam hopes
pee.
Hamilton never gets a game again.
Oh, I'll never go to another game.
No, you want that stadium to be
Get some
demolished.
bathrooms. Are you new?
Tim Hortons Field.
What? Like what? Oh, it's so crazy that people go to a football game, which is what it's built for, or a hockey game, or sometimes concerts, and drink beer and have to pee. Let's just have one toilet.
And do you remember somebody who worked at Tim Hortons Field? They're like the concession worker, somebody who listens to the show.
They backed me up.
They emailed us or tweeted us, and they're like, "Yeah, Adam's right. There's not enough bathrooms there."
Like in what world? Or if Tim Hortons Field was built the same time. Remember when we went to the Red Sox game? And it was such an amazing stadium. Like the
Fenway. Yeah.
Fenway's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right? I can't
Love
wait.
Fenway.
One day I want to go to Chicago, see a Cubs game. I want to see that, right?
Yep.
Old world. I get it if Fenway does not have adequate bathroom space. Like if you have to wait in line. I get it.
It was made during the Depression.
Pre-depression.
Maybe pre-Depression.
Way pre-depression.
Wow.
That
No
could
one
be,
had Depression.
maybe. The Tim Hortons Field, what is your excuse, man?
I don't know, man.
Come on.
I don't know, man. Just hold it.
We've built this great building. No one can pee in it.
You can see
Big flaw.
more bathrooms in the neighboring houses.
Oh, yeah.
than
Absolutely.
there are bathrooms in the stadium.
Absolutely.
There's a review on TripAdvisor, I assume written by Adam Wilde, but it says Noel S. Tim Hortons Field vendors grossly unprepared. This person was very upset about their time at Tim Hortons Field when they attended the women's national soccer team, the Canadian soccer team against England match at Tim Hortons Field. And they have a scathing review about how unprepared Tim Hortons Field was for that game. I assume Adam wrote this under some pseudonym.
Well, sorry.
Noel S.
Noel S. is my burner account.
Yeah.
So you found me.
That's you.
At the very end, I will never return. Ever. Sorry, podcast.
That sounds a lot like me, actually. All right. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so this, it's so funny because this is the experience you literally had at Tim Hortons Field, because Noel S. writes on this review that my daughter ended up watching her first ever stadium game with my friend as opposed to her mother, who was stuck in line for a couple of hot dogs. You missed almost the entire second period of the game.
No, I missed it.
The entire second period.
And I wasn't sitting down until like the third period had started.
Because you were in line.
Yes.
And they have a problem.
Yeah.
They clearly have a problem.
I was talking to a bunch of SDP listeners. They're like, "Hey, you're here." And I'm like, "Hey, nice to meet you." We just had and like when I say chatted for an hour.
We're also trying to pee.
Yeah.
Yeah, just ridiculous. I mean, I wonder for football games if they just bring in a bunch of porta potties, but even then, it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, just have, especially for peeing and guys, it's like at football stadiums, they just have a trough. It's like you just pee into that bin.
Yeah.
See that bin over there? Just pee in that.
That Oilers writer was right. Just pee in the sink.
That's not where I wanted to take the tweet about the the jerseys, but we went there.
Yeah.
Shout out Melissa. All right.
Build some bathrooms. Go to the Brofasco plant. It's just down the street. Get some nuts and bolts and put it together. We need some bathrooms. Okay.
Just cut a hole in your chair.
That was a tough day. Jesse and I barely got back into the stadium after accidentally being escorted out with a fake audience. It was just crazy.
Wear snow pants.
Yes. It's cold.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.